Okay, I think I'm just about ready to get started. So let's talk about the call to action. Today's going to be a lot of grinding. So I'm going to try not to show off any new content in this particular stream. So people don't want to witness the grind or any of the kind of non sequiturs or kind of random things we end up talking about today. I want to make sure you don't miss any plot. So I think I'm mostly just going to go for stat upgrades for today, with the plan that next week would be the boss and cleaning up some of the items that we missed just to show them where they were. And I think that's about it in terms of the plan for this specific game. So let's switch over, take a look, give it a moment to think about it. There we go. Hey Chris, how's it going? That is not the right save file. No, don't save. No, don't save. Load the save file. So, I'm thinking about where we could possibly get more money. Oh, hey, the gold and the crystal counter are back. Look at that. They decided that they should be working, probably. Okay. Maybe it wasn't forward. Maybe it was backwards from the midpoint. Hold on a second. Maybe it's just... I'm trying to remember where in the dungeon I want to go. Maybe it's just easier to go from the start. Glad you're doing mostly okay. We're gonna be leveling. So, okay, so that leads us back to the entrance. Perfect. Since I actually want to go somewhere that's pretty much near the beginning. One thing I'm gonna make sure that we do while we're... Okay, we do have the gold up one. Good. One last time I'm gonna pause. Oh yeah, I do have experience up and I do have the extra ML up as well. Hey Kirk, how's it going? Yay, the game is stable today? Question mark. So far. Actually, let's not waste our time on these enemies. I'm gonna go to a very specific room that we saw last time. Hope you're doing well, Kirk. We're gonna be power leveling, and now at least I could see the money total. So we're about halfway to the next level, so even though we're getting no experience, it shouldn't be too bad to level once on this stream, because that was the goal. However, we're gonna see if we can try to get more gold per second, because I'm really worried that if we waste time killing things like these... Like, they barely gave us any gold, if I'm looking at that correctly. Just for clarification. Yeah, that was like 300 gold. That's not a good enough gold. But there was one enemy I couldn't recall how much it gave. And if it gives a lot of gold, then we're kind of saved. So we're gonna ignore all these things. Here it is. Oh, they give a lot of gold. I think I found what I'm gonna be grinding for a while, chat. Actually gives us a lot of ML as well. That enemy shooting at me bothers me, but I should just ignore it. So out of curiosity, we're at 7293. How much do we get per kill? 43. Well, chat, if you feel like doing math on that one, good luck. We are quite a ways away. But I think the goal is we're gonna figure out how much we get roughly in like one clear, and then we're gonna roughly time how much we clear. So we get about 300 gold a kill. So every time I reset into that room, I guess we get 1800 gold, and then we have to go back. Okay, I mean, just kind of keeping track mentally. I'll count out loud, and chat can count with me too, because I want to figure out roughly how long this is gonna take if I kill every bomb. Or if it's even worth going for those far bombs, I'm not even sure yet. Just out of curiosity, one miss... Oh, no, I forgot to count when I went to leave. We'll count when I leave the next door, chat. But I hope you're ready to see a lot of this screen over and over again. So we will probably level within like an hour or so. But I mean, this is what the game really wants you to do. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7. Oh, I messed up. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, Like 15 seconds. That's not really great, chat. I wonder if we could speed it up. Like, I wonder if with, like, the forward thrust of the lightning sword, if we could go faster. Plus, I want to keep in mind that this has chain lightning, so this could save us time. Like, I don't even have to go over here, like, technically. Like, that should just kill all of them without me needing to go over there. So I think lightning will end up saving us more time overall if I do it this way. As long as I take advantage of chain lightning every now and then, it's just free money. Because then I don't even have to look over here. So it's just like, what was it, 6 kills in 15 seconds? So it's like about 1,800 gold per 16. That's not really great in terms of trades, not gonna lie. I think that did kill them. So I can just turn around there. At least Lightning Sword will speed up the process a little bit. I was thinking about ways to improve it. And since we're going to be here a while, we're going to have different topics we're going to try to talk about. So one thing I wanted to talk about first, just because it was on my mind, because we're on the previous screen, is like from a viewer perspective. I know I have like the start card, for example, where we have the countdown, and that's mostly just so like... Originally it was just for me to get like a water or like some food or something in between after I boot up the stream, but before I formally begin, or maybe I'm testing a setting. But I'm thinking, like, should I have a more formal screen for when I'm talking about, like, the call to action to the game itself? I was wondering about that, because, I mean, like, I was viewing some other streams today just to get an idea of, like, what other people do in similar scenarios. Well, that one went straight up in the air for some reason. And I was wondering, because, like, I don't have, like, a screen where I end up, like, talking to the end user. Oh, hello, Nero. Hope you're doing well. So I was just curious what people thought, especially if they end up going back to the videos, if I have, like, a different scene where I just talk about, like, what I plan to do for the stream before we actually formally start. So still keep the countdown, you're thinking? Because that's what I was kind of on the fence about. Like, did I want to have 2 separate screens for it, or just do one, but then, like, I'm not sure. So we have a long way to go before we're the right level. So I guess since we're talking about the call to action, I double-checked something. I cannot verify if it's true or not. I'm just going to assume it's true. But when we went to normal mode in the arena battle, that Adel was level 60. So we're not gonna grind to level 60. So thankfully we're playing catastrophe mode, so we get to skip some of this. And hey, look, we have enough for a couple upgrades already. Hero's saying he's okay. Insane waiting for... I do not know what that game is. I'm not familiar with it. I'm otherwise doing okay. I have a lot of a lot of work tomorrow, unfortunately. So I'm gonna try not to skip or do anything on the Saturday stream. We'll hopefully continue streaming as intended. Yeah, like, I mean, like, just to give a counterpoint, because, like, again, I'm still kind of new to, like, Twitch as a service kind of deal. The counterpoint would be, like, normally there's, like, a screen where people are, like, just talking, is what I've picked up on. My limited time as an actual Twitch viewer versus, like, somebody that just plays games. Oh, okay, the Trails series, gotcha. I was kind of on the fence if I wanted to start up that series. I might consider it if enough people were interested. It's the same company as the East Game developers. That's cool. Hopefully, well, it sounds like you've been enjoying it because you said you're talking about the wait for it coming out west. So from my standpoint, I would say I'm mostly just waiting on what is it, East 9 to come to PC. Yeah, I think I'll put Trails back on the watch list, as it were, just to see, because I know it goes on sale fairly often. I don't think it would be the hardest thing to pick up. speaks English to read Japanese so I could play faster. I don't play the games with English voices anyway. You know what? That's actually an interesting topic to talk about in terms of like going forward, the English versus the Japanese voices, because I always find it very interesting because like when I'm not streaming, I actually usually prefer the Japanese voices in general. I usually don't wait for the English releases. Maybe that's just for a habit from anime and things like that, where I really don't want to wait several months just for a series to continue, so I'll read through the subtitles. But I was just curious from like an I was more concerned from the accessibility standpoint, because like I'll give a counterpoint example. I really love Berseria, but man, those subtitles are kind of whack sometimes, chat. I'm not gonna lie. They don't make sense. If you don't have the English voice actor with them, I don't know if the game would make sense from a news perspective, but I definitely feel like going forward, definitely if I get the option, like if we're gonna do more reruns of something I've already played, I'm definitely open to switching up the voices, especially if we go to even something like Origin, for example, where we could totally change the soundtrack set as well. Like we definitely vary it up more in the future. But oh yeah, we're in for quite a grind today to get to that boss. I agree too. I usually like to hear the original voices too. I'm completely with you, Nero. Like when again, when I'm on my own, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to hear the original. I'm just curious. And there's like it's kind of like the question of also like when a game was released, because like more modern games, it's not so much an issue. But man, whew, some of those older games when they have the English voiceovers, it's like, whew, it's like nailed on chalk. Like, no thanks. Like, I mean, I guess you could say they delivered their lines, but it's kind of hard to say that they performed well. Brought you into the spirit of the medium. Yeah, like, yeah, I'm with Chris. Like, usually with Chris, I usually almost go pure subtitles. Hey, chat, we actually leveled. That was way quicker than I was anticipating. So we're at 358 health, 269 strength, 265 defense, and we are level 51. If to see a Cold Steel stream, it would best start with the Sky trilogy. So I'd say normally when I try to play a new series, I think East so far has been the only exception. Is I usually try to play the first game in the series, or at least the first available on like PC. As long as it's not crazy rare, I usually prefer to start at the beginning. I think East was the only exception, because I technically played other East games before we streamed Lacrimosa of Donna, for example. So like I had an idea of what I was getting into, whereas with those games I have no idea what I'm getting into. I'm vaguely aware of how they play, but beyond that, no, I wouldn't be able to name a character, a setting, anything. Okay, nice. We got the ricochet shot on that one. We're actually getting a decent amount of gold. So at this rate, we can afford 3 +1s. We need to get mods of the Zero Duology since they never got released west. Oh yeah, that's an interesting consideration. I'm not sure what I would do in that scenario. If I would play the first available in English and then go back, I'm not sure. I would have to think about that. That is almost like a... That's the perfect example of a game I'm not sure whether I would start at the very first in that scenario. It's kind of like... I guess the closest I could think of a counterpoint is like Tales, the Tales series. I did not play that one in order whatsoever. And it's pretty hard to get a good copy of the first game that came out. They had a really, really bad port. And then there's just purely untranslated games, which is a shame. Maybe one day my daydream of Tales of Destiny 2 will get translated. Is better since these games are all connected. Yeah, that's another thing I'm concerned about, where it's like, I'm not sure how much it'll reference the other games, per se, starting out, so hopefully the first English one won't be, like, a huge barrier of entry. Hopefully it'll be gentle. Yeah, let's get that chain lightning for those extra hits. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna pause here for a second. We're at 414. 21 experience, I think we're getting. So we will very gradually level doing this. They remade the Zero games for PS4, but given the script size, I doubt if it will ever be brought west. Well, hopefully. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a pleasant remake surprise. Yeah, I mean, I would consider doing that, because that was actually kind of leading into one of the further topics I had reserved for today, which is like, what would the chat want to see next in terms of like either genres or just series in general. So I'll make a note of this series. I'll put it on the list. But I think in general, like, just to bring up things that we had talked about before, and I think things are also still listed on my channel, well, as of today. Things like, we're probably going to play through the Mana series, so we're going to be playing probably from, what was it? I guess it would be Final Fantasy Adventure into Secret of Mana into the many versions of Trials of Mana. Or Secret of Mana 2. I guess it really just depends on the translation. And then I know Saga Frontier, I'm waiting for that to be re-released to see if that's any good, and if that's a-okay, we're gonna play the remake. If not, we'll probably go back into the PS1 copy. So there's that to look forward to. And supposedly at some point, chat, Rune Factory 5 is supposed to come out this year, because that is another game I will probably stop doing almost everything I am doing to go play in my off hours. So I have been looking forward to that for a really, really long time. Oh, there's a gacha game for it? I was gonna say, I'm not huge into mobile games in general. Oh, that's a good point. Tales of Arise. Good point, Chris. Supposedly Tales of Arise will also come out. I was gonna say, in terms of like character attachment, I was just trying to think what character the chat would probably associate with the stream, and then like, I feel like there's not a contest, to be honest. Like, as many times as we've played Adol in this game, I feel like the chat would be Aizen as the stream mascot. I feel like that would, or Sahad, yeah. Exactly, I don't think it would be Adol. Yeah, I was gonna say, mostly if I'm playing stuff off stream, it's more... I'm not gonna say mature titles, but I would say it's like very different than what I normally stream. Like at the moment I'm playing the Yakuza series. And after really struggling to get through 3, 4 is a big relief to me. I'm having a lot of fun with that. That's like, kind of like one of those games I really wish were safer to stream, because they do some things in there that I'm like, I'm not even comfortable with it. Like, so it's like, how would I even stream it at that point? I don't know. I mean, I love the combat. I think some of the sub-stories are really, really, really funny and well written. And some of the mini-games are actually decent, but man, there are some questionable choices in those kinds of games sometimes. It's very disappointing. Aizen, Sahad, Magilu, Bienfu. Oh, you know what, that's... You know what, Chris, you bring up an interesting point, because I feel like we were talking about stickers the other day, and I feel like Bienfu would also be one of them. It would be a very polarizing sticker. Yeah, maybe we'll, if we end up playing the Trails game, maybe we'll get some things based off those characters. We're definitely open to suggestions in general for things to play, but those are the things that are on my mind at the moment. And I'm also thinking, wow, we are getting way more gold a second than I was anticipating. I'm really glad that these guys give an okay amount of gold. Like, chat, I was talking about getting 2 levels across 2 streams, like maybe 3, but we're already like a sixth of the way there to the next level, and on top of that, we actually have, yeah, about a sixth of what I wanted already. And I feel like it hasn't been that long in this stream. So, I guess we'll see where we are in about an hour. It would be fun to get Yakuza Ishin. I hear that is being considered for localization. I'm not familiar. You know what? I'm not familiar with all the Yakuza titles. I know there's a lot of spin-off kind of ones. Like, I think Yantos in the chat had mentioned a long time ago. What was it? There was a zombie Yakuza game. I'm familiar with Judgment. But otherwise, I got pretty late into the Yakuza series. I think maybe about a year before they did the re-release of, I guess, 4, 5, and 6, I decided to pick it up. So far, I still like Zero the most out of the ones that I've played. It's a Yakuza game set in feudal/medieval Japan. Interesting. I was gonna say, well, if it was translated, I would play it. Now, that's actually another interesting statement, because there are games that, if it is purely action-oriented, I will play those without the subtitles. And I can think of the offhand example would be Sengoku Basara, because I love that series, and it will never get translated to the West ever again. So I'm like, listen, if they're gonna release a game in it, I will play it. See, now we're talking about the feudal Japan, and all I'm thinking about is, as non-spoilery as possible for people interested in the Yakuza series, is the rising/pop-up castle, and that's all I have to say about that. The castle in a castle. That was a very memorable scene in Yakuza. Things were just happening. Wow, I can't believe we're at 30,000 mil. I'm not even trying to pick up the ML. It just kind of happened. Crazy, chat. Other than that, in terms of just like, at some point I would like to take a small break from our extended series. Like, Ys has been fun, and I feel like every game has been pretty different from each other. Like, I would say there's, very broadly speaking, maybe 3 different playstyles of Ys. So it helped keep things a little more fresh as we went through. Oh, technically 4, because we played through Ys 5. But I feel like I might do a shorter game. Not right after this one, but pretty soon after this one. I was gonna say, I'm only familiar with some weapons, and that is only because I played through a very old PS1 game called Bushido Blade. So sometimes when those sword names are mentioned, I'm like, oh, I actually know the size of that, because I fought with it in that game, and it forced me to remember those. Oh boy. But thank you for the clarity, though. I do appreciate that, because offhand, I'm not sure if I would have been able to call what size sword that would have been. More accurately, the katana. I'm just thinking about how much we have in supplies right now. So we have already a +5 stored up. Wow, this is going way faster than I thought. I'm thankful these bombs actually give gold, because I felt like we were going to be going like, I don't know, like maybe 5 kills like every 20 seconds due to room resets, but honestly, this is pretty solid. Yeah, we got the kill around the corner there. Don't need to worry about that. So the only thing we really have left to do in terms of this save file is just to make sure we fight that super boss. Goodbye, monster. Oh. See, it's always interesting when people know the lore. See, I have a very loose idea about Japanese history. Like, there's certain eras in Japan I will probably be able to go like, oh, if you show me like a clan symbol, I might actually recognize it, kind of thing. But some of the nuance is lost on me, so I definitely appreciate it when people share that knowledge. I always think it's so cool. I was gonna say, everybody knows a little something. I was like, never be afraid to share in the chat. I always find that interesting. I hope the chat also enjoys it too, but... Oh, I was thinking, yeah, I was trying to think if the smaller sword they had on them was the Wakizashi, because specifically for fighting Endure, if I recall correctly. Or the Tanto, that's true. That one is definitely much smaller than the Katana. So there we go. Today we learned, chat. Today we learned. That Amel grind, chat. Love it. Right now we're going on to +6. We need like up to, I think, +40. Like, we're so far away from the bonus boss. It's such a shame because it's like... There's no way we could have prepped for this outside of this dungeon at like any reasonable pace to go fight that bonus boss. It's a shame we can't damage the bonus boss. So I definitely would have loved to have just gone straight to the bonus boss at level 50. Goodbye, monsters. We're getting there slowly but surely, chat, and we're actually not too far away from a level, as I said before. I want to check one thing on this string of kills, because this will go through the wall to kill them. Is this weapon even maxed? Oh, it's not. Oh, hold on, chat. Hold on. Let's leave the dungeon to go back, because we could get recharging magic, and that would save us a lot of time. I was gonna say that sounds like what I know about Nero. I was gonna say, because I was thinking about Folded Steel from Rune Factory. It's just kind of like one of those weird things. Like I'm not gonna say esoteric, because some people still use the crafting techniques, or at least maybe they run museums and things like that. I know I've been to a couple of places where they had actual blacksmithing, and they talked about the different techniques. It's just one of those times I happened to pick up on that. I guess we should level this weapon, chat. I mean, we might as well increase magic regen. Oh yeah, we could level this weapon as a joke. Because I did not enjoy this weapon whatsoever. We're here, we might as well as, chat. Everything is now maxed. Our damage doesn't matter. I'm not gonna bother leveling us up yet. Let's go back to the entrance. Yeah, even the unloved one. Yeah, I mean, I was like, just out of curiosity, like after we beat the game, I just did like a quick look up, and I was like, what do people recommend? And they're like, use the fire sword. And I'm like, why? It seems like less DPS per second, and it has bad animation. I'm like, is there some kind of magic secret to it? Like, why would I ever use that over the lightning sword? Or the wind sword? The wind sword magic you saw was really cheap, chat. We saw how quick we killed those bosses with that. Kirk's like, use the fire sword, but why? I know. I'm just looking back at what Nero is posting in the chat. Yeah, yeah, I heard both that, Nero, and also the fact that if they had the longer katana and they were indoors, it would get caught on things. So they needed a smaller weapon specifically for sieging or protecting people within castles. So we got a little extra damage technically because we leveled up our Thunder Sword. I'm half wondering if it's faster to do the rapid stab. I'm not sure, chat. You know what, chat? We have enough time. Let's see how quick that fills in the bottom left. Oh, that's much faster. So we'll get it like every other one now, now that I did that. Oh, the Nodachi. I was like, hey, I remember that. Out of curiosity, chat, We're gonna take a small break from this because we don't need defense. Does this actually work if the weapon's already at max magic? It doesn't look like it's doing anything differently. Let's test that theory in a moment, chat. I feel like it isn't doing anything. So we're gonna time how long it takes when I use it. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like about 9 seconds. Alright, so if I were to use it without the orb, how fast is this? Is the question we should be asking. Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi 7, Mississippi 8, Mississippi 9, Mississippi. There's no difference. Wow, that artifact is so useless, chat. I'm assuming you were supposed to somehow take the orb and maybe it puts you at like max mana regen, I think. But we can just upgrade our weapons to that. So that is officially the most useless item we have in our inventory, chat. We picked it up so late in the game that it makes no difference. What a shame, chat. I guess if we had known that the secret boss was there, we could have gotten it much earlier in the game, but I don't know if I would have cared about magic recharge earlier in the game. Nero says you like the Tai Chis despite their impracticality due to their length. I mean, I always kind of like the characters with the long sword, even if it's not specifically that. I was thinking a little bit of what was it? Under Night, I think a character was using one of those. It just looks nice. I think a character in the Tales series also uses that, but I will not name the character because Chad has not seen that game yet. But I'm pretty sure that one of the antagonists uses that weapon. Oh, I think I actually got a ricochet to go up there. So we actually made more money by using lightning on the bottom left. So I think that's our new strategy, chat. We just try to chain lightning to get to the top left. If I do it from like here. Yeah, see, that hit 3 instead of the 2 we'd normally kill. So we're squeezing a little extra money out on the run, chat. We're being more optimal. Love it, chat. Look at that. Consistency. Yep, 3 kills again. So we're almost at +8 just from the upgrades, which is not too bad. Show an example in blade size. I would say yes. I don't have hands to mod you at the moment. One moment. Let me pause and recall commands. 1 second, chat. But sure, I don't mind you sharing a link. Just let me give you the permission, that's all. Sorry about pausing the game. There you go. You should be good now. I think I will also take a look at that. Silly enemies. Sorry, chat, I clicked out again for a second. Yeah, that is a nice design. I think what I'll try to do is at the end of the stream, try to make sure that it ends up in the images. My bad, chat. I don't normally click out while I'm playing game, but we'll make an exception. That is the downside to playing full screen. It doesn't play nice with the multi-monitor. Oops, I was not thinking. I should have chain lightning. Oh, there's only that one enemy up there, so that's the best we could have done, unless I do that. We're almost halfway to the next level, which is kind of nice. Uh-oh, I see a name drop for who he's played by, but I will let you know, I do not know voice actors. I think I sometimes do, what is it? I was gonna say behind the scenes, but that's not quite right. But I do try to look them up every now and then if I hear a familiar voice. It's always interesting to hear people kind of traveling through. Like there's certain voice actors like Steve Bloom, where like I don't need to think about it. Like I just immediately think of a role behind the voice actors. Thank you. Yeah, I think the other way I was doing it was faster. So that's just kind of a like a general feel of like what other games the character's been in. Send a link to his BTVA to... sure. I think it's still active, the permission. Either that or Chris can forward it, either word. Oh, nope. Timed you out. I bet. 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. Should be going forward for a little bit. Although, I think next time, if you have multiple links, I'll add you to... There's a list I can add you to, but I also need to pause the game to do that. No, it just like... It's not like a ban, it just like kicks them for like 1 second. It's fine. I might even dial that back a little bit more, because remember, chat, we were getting so many like bots, but I think I did actually fix that issue, because I don't think we've seen a bot in, what was it, like 14 sessions? Yeah, like 14 sessions, I'm gonna say. It's been a really long time if you think about it, chat. It's been over a month since we last saw a bot. Yeah, I think I figured it out, chat. I figured out the mystery / the secret to getting rid of the bots. So we have not seen them since, like, what, halfway through the Berseria playthrough? Like, to give context? It's been a while. Sorry about that, but if you have another link, I think I'll try to add you to Streamlabs directly, rather than just do a single time permit. See, that's another thing I have to get more used to, is like, I have a lot of actions I can perform on a stream deck, which is like really cool when I'm doing like the scene transitions or recording or like real quick chat commands, but it is definitely hard to moderate while playing a game. Oh, see, there you go. See, you named something I would recognize. Inumaki and Jujutsu Kaisen. That is the series I just started watching. So that actually makes sense to me. I know who you're talking about. Ooh, that ricochet was nasty. Kaido and Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I'm not gonna lie, I did not make it through much of Zexal. As much as I, like... I'm not gonna say ironically watched, But as much as like I watched Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't think I got very far through Zexal. I think the soundtrack to that show is really good, though. I feel like people can hate on it if they want to, like, because it's like, they're basically just advertising the cards, and it's like, whatever. I'm like, listen, I grew up in the generation with, like, G.I. Joes and Transformers. I'm like, I'm used to that pandering. But I think even in the shows that I don't enjoy as much, maybe because, like, the target audience issue, I'm like, man, I love those soundtracks. They're so good. Although I have to say, chat, I always feel sad when I'm watching a series, and I'm like, I get really excited for like an intro, outro, because I'm like, wow, I really like this song, and then like they change the theme and it's just not as good. It just makes me so sad. I was just thinking of Jujutsu Kaisen actually, because I really like the season 1 intro. I was like, wow, that's a really good song, and then it's like lukewarm to season 2. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen all the TV show products. Oh, I'm like, pander to me harder. Yeah, it hasn't really changed. Like, it just... And honestly, some of those I think are still watchable if you go back to them. Not all of them. Some of them are really just... You shake your head. You're like, you really do kind of watch anything when you're growing up. Like, I'll give a random example, just to make the chat feel less bad, is just... Don't ever watch a full episode if you've not seen it, but Captain N and the Game Master was just a completely trash show. And I have seen episodes from it, and I remembered enjoying it when I was young, and then I watched it again, like, I couldn't make it through one episode, like, 5 years ago. And that was so bad. It's like, how did I sit through this? I don't understand. Captain N is so bad. But even then, like, I remember thinking to myself specifically with that show, I'll go back into what the chat is saying above with the Demon Slayer. But man, I remember thinking, like, why is Simon Belmont like this? Like, just like one of those tangents. Like, I don't think he's like that in the games. I didn't understand. I was too young. Shinobu from Demon Slayer, Yumeko, and Kakaguri, and Mars in the Sakura War games. I don't think I've actually played a Sakura War game, but I am familiar also with the Sakura War games. I think I accidentally picked up a copy of one once. I think I still have it. Like, it's just one of those things where, like... I don't even know how to describe it. It was like I was purchasing games, and then it was, like, in a stack that I purchased, but... I don't know if they gave it away for free, because, like, I was like, it's not on my receipt, but I have it. I don't know. This is one of those things. It was like a weird collector's edition thing. I think they handed me the wrong thing, and I just didn't check the bag. So I feel like I missed out on, what is it, Romancing Saga? I think I was trying to get Romancing Saga, and I somehow ended up with Sakura Wars or something like that. I was like, I don't remember picking up this game. Oh, I'm gonna break Chris's heart. I was never into the 3D of Beast Wars. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm sure it's a great show, but I can't get into it. It's just one of those things. Like, I'm sure the plot is really good, and it is probably better than a lot of the cartoon 80s Transformers Season 1 or G1. However they want to call it, but just that 3D. It's kind of like that in Reboot, where I've heard positive things about the shows, but the animation always turned me off. I just could never get into it because of that. Yeah, it was like, to me, that's like too big of an obstacle. Like, I'm willing to ignore a lot of things, but not the 3D. If it was 2D and bad, I think I could get further than 3D and bad. Yeah, it is kind of crazy though. Like it's like Nero's talking about like introducing something when it's niche. I feel like that's so true because it's just one of those things where like you kind of experiment whether you pick up a game or a new show, and then you're like, oh, I kind of like that character, and then like you keep going later in the year and you're like, oh, it's that voice actor again or voice actress again. It just keeps happening over and over. You're like, oh, we meet again. Still better from the Transformers. I don't know what Transformer series you just said there, Chris. I looked at that, my brain did not parse that word. It's like Edagon? I don't even remember that one, to be honest. I'm like, See, like, I remember just kind of like weird things. Like, here's an example of something like I've watched it and I cannot recall a single thing from it, but GoBots. I've definitely seen GoBots and I cannot tell you a single thing about that show. I think there was a GoBots movie and I've definitely watched it, or at least it was like on those old family entertainment videos, and I might have mistaken it for a movie. Oh, now I'm having nostalgia trips, because I remember with the Transformers, they would have like the special VHS set where they have like all these like story images on the front, like a comic panel. Oh, it's from 2002. Oh, that might be why. Okay, that makes more sense. I feel less bad now. Oh, yes, oh no, we're gonna talk about Captain N. Captain N, oh man, just chat. I feel bad for whoever saw that. I'm so sorry. If you've seen the show and forgotten, just consider it a mercy. That show was like not salvageable. Oh my gosh. I remember there was like a talking Game Boy and Mega Man, and I was like, oh, this is, ooh. it's certainly something. Yeah, Simon, I remember being confused even while watching it. The made for kids angle still did not work for me. Oh no, they're mixing 2D and 3D with the other Transformers show. That's never a good sign. I always feel kind of like, if the show's gonna be 3D, I'd prefer it to be 3D almost the whole time. Or if it's gonna be 2D, it really better have very limited 3D that has like no impact. I think I told Kirk this before. Like, I don't recommend watching the show either, but like the Golden Kamui was popular, so I'm like, let me try an episode, and I got like 4 minutes in, chat, and then CGI Bear happened, or it was more like 6 minutes in. It was like CGI Bear, and it was so distracting, chat. I was just like, what is going on? Don't put really awkward 3D animation in the 2D backgrounds. Oh, yeah, see, somebody just brought up Mighty Max. That was the other show I was gonna say. That's another one where I kind of remember a little bits and pieces about it. I don't think it was as egregious as the other ones. I know I have, like, the toys from it, so I know the product placement worked. Oh, there was a Creepy Crawlers TV show? That makes so much sense, because I have like the Creepy Crawlers. I'd forgotten they were in a TV show. That makes sense now, Kirk. So you're putting puzzle pieces together. I didn't even realize the picture wasn't complete. Oh yeah, because you used to make little Creepy Crawlers. They're like the glow-in-the-dark worms as the toy. I was like, I remember those. I think it was out before the show. Maybe. That would make sense. So we are sitting at a +10, and we've almost leveled twice. So we are getting way more experience than I thought we were gonna get. So this is awesome. We hit our level goal already. Basically in 10 minutes we'll hit it. Oh my gosh, chat. If it wasn't like copyright banned, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna show you some of my favorite G.I. Joe episodes for how ludicrously dumb they were. And they aged terribly, but they aged so terribly that they became comic gold. Manhwa. Most manhwa are oversaturated and rip off each other all the time. I'm not sure I know what that means. Is that, You're actually gonna have to explain that. I forget. Are those... Is that... The equivalency of Korean manga? Okay, Korean comics. I was gonna say, we're testing the knowledge there. I know, see, chat, if things weren't copyrighted, I'm like, listen, we're gonna watch some terrible shows. Oh no. Oh, my mind was going through, like, what things did I watch in the 90s? And I was just thinking of the 90s Mega Man. Just shaking my head, chat. I forget, how many times did they say the word Mega Man in that theme song? I want to say it's like 18. We should have a guessing contest. Seriously, they say Mega Man a lot in that title theme if you've never heard it before. I was gonna say, what other shows did I grow up with that people in the chat have also seen it? Captain Planet. Captain Planet was definitely one I've seen a lot of. I did not see, like, when they... I feel like when some shows went to other companies, like, for example, G.I. Joe had, like, an alternate season by a different company. I did not watch any of the alternate company stuff. The old Ruby Spears. I don't remember... I don't know who Ruby Spears is, so I don't think I can answer that. It had Roll, and technically I think Mega Man X makes a cameo in that one. But it had like Dr. Riley, Dr. Light. It had like Cutman and Guts. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, for me personally, I don't get into the romance stuff. I know some people do. So that's like when we did Rune Factory. Like, I'll show that stuff off, but for me, it's like, that's not why I play the game. I tend to shy away from that in media in general. You ever see Pirates of Dark Waters? Asked the chat. No, I don't know what that is. Uh-oh, I'm gonna do some research. Yeah, not familiar. I've seen a lot of like the extreme 90s versions of cartoons, like Ghostbusters and then the extreme Ghostbusters. Oh, you know what? Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I really, you know what I find funny is that even though if the 90s shows are really terrible, they have really good intro songs. I feel like that's what got me into music in general, chat. So we're seeing Pirates Darkwater might be worth checking out. It aged well. Interesting. I'll have to take a look after chat, or excuse me, after stream. Yeah, like I'll give a great example. Like I can pretty much, having not seen that show in 20-something years, I pretty much remember the entire X-Men's intro from the 90s. I know there's a lot of X-Men, but specifically the 90s one. Oh, we actually level, chat. Wow. 363 health, 282 strength, 268 defense. So we've hit our level goal for the stream. Man, that intro is rocking. If you've never heard the 90s X-Men theme, maybe I should add that as a sound clip. Not the whole song. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I was like, man, I think that's what got me into the harder rock stuff. Binged a lot of horror manga and regretted every second of it. You know what? I have kind of mixed feelings about whether I would want to pursue the horror manga. Like, I've definitely read things that are in, like, the horror genre. But I feel for me, it's like, I get turned off by, like, the more... I'm not gonna say gory, per se, but I prefer the horror to be more psychological. Like, I don't care if there's more graphic scenes in it. I just prefer that to not be the focus, if that makes sense. Oh, X-Men Evolution, that one was fine. I remember that one. Yeah, I was a big Kids WB fan in the US. See, I don't think I get, like, quote-unquote scared in horror movies. I feel like I don't have a big reaction to it. I think the only time I, like, react is either I'm grossed out by something, or it's more jump scare. Like, I feel like it's instinct. Like, I can't not jump at a jump scare sometimes. Where I'm like, I'm not scared. It's just like, don't play the music that loud. Jeez. Static Shock. Oh, thank you, Kirk. That show was fantastic. That is such an underrated show, Kirk. I love that show. Oh, Static Shock was so good. I'm telling you, Kirk. I watched that into, like... I mean, because as I said before, I'm a big WB Kids fan. So, like, if you name anything from that era, we're talking, like, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited. I've seen all of them at this point, I guarantee you. But yeah, I don't know if I get, like, scared during a movie. I have a pretty high tolerance for that. Oh man, Static Shock is so good. I love it, chat. I love it. Wow, we are making excellent progress. Let's do a check on how much experience we're getting a kill. Oh, we're down to 10 experience a kill. All right, there we go. That's the experience per second I thought we were coming into the stream with. So I think we're sitting on a plus 12 at the moment. In terms of gold, we still need a lot more, as I said before. Because I think unless we get closer to 320, from our strength perspective, we can't even hurt the boss. So we're just gonna keep going. Yeah, that's the thing where I feel like, yeah, if we're gonna talk Marvel versus DC, I'm sorry, Marvel cartoons, you gotta step it up. And then consequently, I'm gonna say, sorry, DC movies, you gotta step it up. Gotta be fair, chat. Gotta be fair. Nero's talking about a horror scenario. Yeah, I feel like a lot of those kinds of horror scenarios, they kind of write themselves in the corners where characters have to act dumb for the plot to progress sometimes. And I feel like it can be kind of jarring when you get into those scenarios. Yeah, I think Chris beat me to the other response to the rest of the post. Where I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm like, I mean, like, honestly, I really struggled to think of, like, really great Marvel cartoons. Not movies, cartoons. I'm like, let me think about it. Like, maybe one of the 90s Spider... Actually, you know what? I think Spider-Man is the exception. I feel like most of the Spider-Mans were pretty good. Like, I was about to say the 91s is probably okay. But definitely some of the newer Spider-Man were pretty good. I was not a fan of the latest Avengers, but the one before that I think was Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That one was a really solid show. I really like that. Yeah, see, I think I'm with Nero. I feel like my big issue with it is that they, like, DC went into, like, the New 52 and Marvel went into the reboot, and ever since they did that, I feel like I haven't enjoyed it as much. Like, I feel like it's a combination of, like, the change of writers, the change of style, and even some of, like, just the general characteristics of those universes. I just didn't get back into them. Like, I'll give a really easy example for people that are not really familiar with it. Like, Wonder Woman, compare, like, before and after New 52. Like, that was all about, like, her adventures going against gods. I thought that was so cool when I was growing up. Like, she's literally fighting, you know, in Hades, etc., and, like, trying not to have her soul taken. And then the new one is like, oh, the gods are dead. And I'm like, oh, you just eliminated all these cool things. Like, there's no more Ares or anything like that. I just feel really disappointed. Yeah, I was like, I want to see the mythology. Why would you take that away? That was so cool. So I'm hoping, like, just going on the tangent of that, I'm hoping Shazam in the DC fully embraces its little mythos there, because I was hearing some good things kind of down the pipeline. Because I did actually like the Shazam movie, and apparently they're going to expand on both the villain, Black Adam, and they're also doing a sequel, which has to do with the different heroes, I believe, that form the power word of Shazam. Because each of those letters stands for something. I want to say, like the strength of Hercules, for example. Speed of Mercury. There's like little bits and pieces I remember, but not the full list offhand. Yeah, and there's just like... I would have liked to have seen the gods a bit more, I would say, in the DC universe. I feel like that's definitely missed. It could have been so cool. I agree too. I like the supernatural. Even in the horror, I like the supernatural horror a lot. So it's good to know that the Trails is science fantasy. I had a feeling, I have like vague recollections. I swear a character at one point is using like pistols and they're on trains and things like that, and it seemed like that kind of era. Yet they were still doing sword fighting and things like that. So I thought that's my only recollection of the Trails series. So I'll have to check it out again, I think, at some point. Yeah, there's just like, yeah, we're talking about the gods and the DC. It's just like I feel like it's such a waste. I feel like they got rid of all the things that made her kind of interesting, to be honest. I still feel disappointed. Yeah, in the new ones, Kirk, I think like almost every god is dead. Even in like the DC movies, they're dead. Like there's gonna be no like morality conflicts, or like there might be some mythological creatures, but not anywhere to the extent to the pre-New 52 stuff. So that's a shame. That's also good to know about the Trails of Cold Steel. Keep that in mind. Keep on. Otherwise, like in terms of like, I guess while we're on the DC tangent, we'll maintain it a bit longer. But I was thinking about if I wanted to go see the supercut or the Snyder cut or whatever it's called of Justice League, because I will let you know, chat, I am not a Joss Whedon fan or whatever. Joss Whedon fan, not a fan. I think Age of Ultron was one of my least favorite movies between Marvel and DC. And I really didn't like the Superman reboot, and I was like, ooh. And I really, really didn't like the third Nolan Batman movie. Like, I didn't even find it fun to watch. Whereas, like, I feel like at least the one with, like, Jim Carrey is, like, really camp, and I could get some amusement from it. I couldn't find entertainment in those. Age of Ultron was just so bad. I just couldn't. What a waste of a character. I don't know what version of Ultron that he is based off of, but I'm disappointed in the version that they chose. Especially coming from, as I said before, they did the reboot, like, Earth's Mightiest Heroes probably had my favorite version of Ultron in it. So going from that to that movie was just, ooh, painful. Who knows? I mean, it's not like they can't do good movies. It's like, I definitely enjoy, I would say, overall more Marvel than DC movie-wise. And definitely a big, huge swing in Marvel's favor if we're eliminating the animated movies released by DC. Nero's warning me the Snyder Cut is 4 hours. That was one of the big hesitation factors. I'm like, I know it's broken up into parts, so I can kind of pause as I go through. So I'll probably digest it a little bit at a time. I'll feel the disappointment sink in little by little. Yeah, I don't know. There's just certain things where, like, I just don't feel like it works. With characters like Superman in particular, where I feel like they tried making every character like Batman, even if it doesn't really match how they were in, like, other mediums. I just find it a turnoff. Like, I don't know why they tried going really dark with Superman. Unless they're trying to go, like, an Injustice plotline where Superman is evil. But even then, that's not why I want to see the Superman one. Just... no thanks. You hated Man... Oh, see, I'm with you on that one, Kirk. I really did not like the Superman movie. I was, like, rolling my eyes when in the product placement fight. I couldn't even tell you what point it was in the movie, but I'm like, did they really just hit themselves into a Walmart? Are you kidding me? Buy our goods. Like, come on. Get out of here. Batman vs. Superman was terrible. They ruined one of my favorite villains from DC, Lex Luthor. He was horrible. 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 What were they thinking? I'm like, he's like one of the cooler villains, because he's the character that doesn't have, like, a power. So it's more about how he leverages, like, morality as well as politics to beat people. So he's like the person that can't be touched, even though he does these really terrible things. And I feel like the movies in general lose a lot of that nuance, and it's a shame. And I really did not like the latest version of him whatsoever. But it's like, man, Lex Luthor in the Superman animated series or the Justice League cartoon, fantastic character. I love it. He's basically, I mean, if you want to think about it, Chad, he is basically evil Batman. And it's like, they just did him dirty. He's just so terrible. He comes off as like a little child. I'm like, at no point do I feel like I'm intellectually opposed. Like, even in his character, he's supposed to be like one of the smartest characters in the universe. He's like the dumbest plans in the movies. It's just ridiculous. Talking about DC movies, ones to watch that are more recent, I would say the first Wonder Woman movie. I feel like most people enjoyed. I also liked it. Shazam was probably one of the strongest ones. I kind of liked Christopher Nolan's second Batman film, but I feel like there's a lot of bias with that. It had its issues, but I still enjoyed it. I feel like definitely Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker really kind of took it to another level. I thought he was a genuinely creepy version of the Joker. A little different than certain expectations, but I liked his rendition. But in terms of like all the other ones, I'm like, nah, just... it's fine. You didn't miss anything. Oh, I guess from like if you turn your brain off, it's amusing in a dumb way. I think Aquaman is okay. It's not anything like mind-blowing, but I think you can have some fun during that movie. Kirk, I would highly recommend you watch Shazam, because I feel like that movie is what Justice League and a lot of those other films should have been, where they have a pretty good balance of comedy versus serious. Like, they can still have, like, real issues with the characters without it being, like, ludicrously obnoxious. Like, there's, like, maybe one scene in there that for me, might cross the line in terms of, like, going, like, come on, not now. But I think in general, it had a pretty good control over the tone, and I like the villain in it. Yeah, they learned. See, but that's like it's what they should have been doing from the start. Like, if they wanted to have the darker stuff, like that's where they should have gone with it, honestly speaking. So yeah, I would highly recommend that. I really hope the sequel / also the prequel, because there's two different films coming out for Shazam in the near future, from my understanding. One with Helen Mirren, one with The Rock, I think it's Black Adam. They're pretty fun. Nero says most of them want playing Trails. I was gonna say, in general, I haven't been watching too much stuff lately. I am usually trying to figure out how to, like, bring more quality, I would say, to the stream, as well as just make sure people are entertained. So sometimes I'm doing prep for other games. Like, I was testing out E7 earlier, which we'll talk about that, because that is gonna be a mess to play through as is. So I'm glad we didn't start it today, I'll put it that way. But in terms of like other things, like most of my time has either been Yakuza-ing, as I said before, just slowly playing through 4, or practicing for a speed run for some of the more modern Ys games. Like, this is a game I don't know if I would consider speedrunning, to be honest. I don't think I'm like at that caliber with it like I am with the modern ones. So I think it's just nice to show things off if it's there. Oh boy, chat. I hope you're ready for Lacrimosa. I will warn you, I will only attempt one stream of the speedrun. My fingers are gonna be so tired after we do that stream. I'm gonna be like, as soon as it's done, I'm putting the controller down for like 20 minutes. So we're gonna be doing some silly out of bounds stuff, chat. Like, really silly. We're gonna break that game completely. I mean, technically, if everything hypothetically goes well, it'll be done in 30 minutes. But I expect to mess up basically everything, because some of the tricks are kind of finicky. So I'm thinking, you know, we probably beat the whole game in 3 hours. I think we could do it. Yeah, you have no idea, Kirk. I'm like, my hand is gonna be so tired from holding the combination to go out of bounds. Like, just like hold run while swapping and attacking and timing everything and jumping and holding direction. Like, I think I'll need like little pauses in between each of those tricks. Or like if I'm trying to get another version of Infinite Flight, my finger is gonna get very tired. I might have to take pauses in between. It's literally as fast as you can mash in some of the sections. Oh, we're sending out a wonderful 502,000 crystals. Fantastic. So I think we're now plus 16 in strength. So we're about halfway to the strength goal already. So that's a good sign, chat. We might even level again. So that'll save us a good 75,000 in gold if we level again. That would be nice. Just trying to think of any other things. I mean, like, I feel like I enjoyed some of the Netflix Marvel stuff until it got canceled. And I feel kind of sad about that, because I was like, hey, it's actually like, I feel like I'm the right audience for this, and I feel like I'm not going to be disappointed. Canceled. Sorry, Luke Cage. I was enjoying you. Rest in peace, Netflix Marvel. Let's just try to think of like other cartoons and things like that. Like, we talked a little bit about Transformers. I think I've seen a few versions of them, but I could not be... I cannot remember the names of the series, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like it was like a 2012 Transformers. There's so many Transformers. Ugh. I think my favorite character is... not because of powers or anything from Transformers, I just call him Poshbot, and I'm really struggling to remember what he actually does. He's not a big role in most of the Transformers if he shows up, but he always has a ridiculous accent. Oh, Disney Plus is looking to fix some stuff up? We'll see. Redo Iron Fist. Oh, Kirk. Oh, Kirk. I was like, I can't say I've ever been so at a loss of words after watching the first episode of Iron Fist. I was like, is this serious? Are you gonna tell me after that security guard fight scene that you're gonna do a whole show about martial arts when this guy can't throw a punch? Yeah, I think it's tracks. All I remember from G1 is there's just like this. It's just like one of those PSAs for kids where they go into a nightclub at one point, like because like the music is turning people bad or something. It's like the premise of the episode. And all I remember from that episode is, where the devil is Raoul? I'm just like, what am I watching? That's the only thing I remember. I don't know what he looks like. That's all I remember about the character. It's just one of those lines where it's just like context. Yeah, like Iron Fist, okay, like I don't know, maybe Kirk can fill in the backstory of this actor, but from my witnessing of the Iron Fist actors, Iron Fist is supposed to be a martial artist in the Marvel universe, and this guy could not martial arts to save himself. I think he went in with like no actual experience, like real life fighting experience, and the early fights were just wow. Honestly, I was just wow. Like at one point, I think he threw a punch at a guard, and it was so bad that you could see like a head size to maybe 2 head size gap between his fist and the person he was supposed to have punched. It was so bad. I was like, I'm like, am I watching a pilot? Like before, like the pre-pilot? Like what's going on? Yeah, the performer was just could not. And I don't even think he was good at acting on top of that. It was just really awful. But don't watch that show. I would recommend something like Luke Cage. I had a lot of fun with Luke Cage. Jessica Jones is mixed. I really like the villain, but I understand if the premise of the show, when you realize what the villain does, if it makes people uncomfortable. So that one's a harder sell. It has to be for people that are more into trauma, I would say, without going into more specifics. But I feel like from an entertainment standpoint, I had so much fun with Luke Cage. Kirk, I'm not gonna lie, I tapped out on the second episode. I was like, oh, it was like morbid curiosity made me play the second episode, and I'm like, it didn't get better. It just stopped. But what else? Just trying to think of like childhood shows that I recommend. I feel like the 90s X-Men is mostly held up. Evolution, I feel like, has generally been pretty solid throughout. There's another X-Men that I don't remember the name of that I also enjoyed, and I think it was based off of like Days of Future Past, I think. You have great psychological drama manga for me? I would be very interested because I would probably check it out post-stream. I tend to go more tame when it comes to those things, but we'll see. Like, I read really dark things, so it's like, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, my enjoyment factor is like all over the place. I want to say like the translated title of one of the things I will probably pick up reading again was called like Death Pass, where basically everybody has had injections when they were young and it's for population control, and the whole premise of it is basically like some of them are duds, some of them are not, but if they aren't duds, they are informed by this service, and it's about like how the people live out like the last day of their life kind of thing. So like I read really dark stuff, like, just don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's like Ikugami or something. It had a really short title, but I think it means Death Pass. You don't remember an X-Men focus on Days of Future Past? Yeah, there definitely was, because I want to say it had Polaris in it. It was a more recent X-Men. It was one that was after X-Men Evolution, and it was like the same kind of art style, but I honestly don't remember what it was called offhand. It was like right around that release. And I thought that one was actually kind of nice. Ooh, we're getting there, chat. We're almost at the big 500k. We have a long while to go before another level up. Oh, you know what? I think it was Wolverine in the X-Men. That actually sounds right, Kirk. It gets into it much later. The early part of it, I don't think is related to it, but... Oh, I might have to expand the preview chat on my end. I will have to check the name of that. I'm just looking through the premise. Nobody in it is a good person. See, like, that's always an interesting standpoint when it comes to psychological stuff. Whether or not you need, like, a good character, quote-unquote, in the manga to carry it. I definitely want to check it out. I am interested. Yeah, Kirk, it takes a while to get into that stuff. I don't think the... like, Visions of the Future Destroyed, that doesn't happen until, like, season 2, I think, of that show. It's quite a while into it, from what I recall. Well, thank you for this suggestion. I will check out that manga later. Unfortunately, I can always refer back to the stream if I forget the name. Otherwise, like, in terms of psychological stuff, some people told me to watch, I think it was called Psychopaths, and I just disliked the premise of the show. But I am kind of curious in those kinds of things. I do find myself going towards, like, crime drama stuff as well, in general. And I feel bad because I always forget the name of this anime. One day I will remember what it was called. Where it was in feudal Japan, and it was basically just kind of like a series of one-offs of like the guard captain with the lanterns, and he's investigating different crimes, whether it's like drugs or something else, like gang-related violence. And I like that one because it touched upon like what it meant to grow up as an adult in feudal Japan, because he's trying to raise his son, and he sees like the parallels with his son's life. I think it really worked for a shorter series. But I cannot remember the show names. I'm so bad, chat. I will try to look it up again if anybody was interested. But I have a lot of fun in those kinds of things. As I said before, I like kind of the mystery. Like, I know, for example, I got really into, what was it called? Liar's Game. I also like the kind of the game-based manga, but there's a lot of psychological elements to it. I will warn you, though, as much as I really liked the first half of Liar's Game, I hated the ending. I hard stopped. I was so upset with where they took that. It was so promising, chat. But it's very interesting, especially when the games draw parallel to Japanese culture in particular. Because I was like, hey, this is reminding me of the Sengoku era, because they're playing out the unification of the land. And I'm like, I got that reference without being told it beforehand. Yay. But then if you don't, it will eventually explain it to you, which I thought was kind of neat. Rick is asking if I watch Gargoyles. You know what? That's a very interesting statement. I feel like I have seen one episode of Gargoyles and then the movie, because I remember there's a board game associated with the movie, and I played the board game where it had a video timer. Yeah, that's always an interesting perspective, Nero, with horror. When it's like exploring like the psychology of like love and things like that, where it's just like the person can be really terrible, but it's like the blood bond brings them together. Yeah, there definitely was, because at the end of the VHS, it's like a 30-minute timer where you basically you have to play the board game that comes with it. Or maybe it just came with the board game, I don't remember which. Either way, there was definitely a movie/board game VHS that you played, and it would be little scenes from like the first 2 episodes of Gargoyles, and you played to a time limit. Yeah, like I again, like from the horror standpoint, I don't need it to be like super eerie, but I really enjoy the psychological stuff. So that might be up my alley, Nero. I'll take a look at it. we are just going on a murder spree, chat. So we're almost at 500,000. We're almost maxed out on a mil. But not too much we can do there. Yeah, it's just like I like it when it goes into like the process of the character making a decision. I don't like the decision to be like, oh, I have to train to become tougher, which I feel like a lot of shonen fall into that trap with me, where I'm like, I really want to see the character use a bit of guile with it. You know, I want them to think a little more other than just get like random extra powers. So that kind of stuff turns me off usually if I'm reading it. So I find it very interesting when the characters come across a situation where it's very clear they're at a disadvantage and or they have a handicap that will not just be magically overcome because the plot demands it, where they actually have to respect the handicap. So I enjoy those moments, definitely, for sure. And I like the kind of mental battle between like the detective and the criminal, for example, in some of the mystery manga. So I enjoy that element. Although now that I said criminal, I was just thinking about Phoenix Wright. I guess if the chat is interested, I could technically try to stream Phoenix Wright at some point. They did have a Steam re-release. That would be a very different genre than I normally play, but I could probably do it for chat. It's been long enough that I don't remember how to solve the cases, so it's probably been okay. Hero says you like the sort of conflict between a sibling or sibling-like figures. Yeah, I always like that dynamic too. I always like the big brother or little sister kind of dynamic, but then like as they get older in the manga, or maybe just, you know, things advance in general and they become more mature, how the roles kind of come in conflict with each other. I like that. Another cartoon you watched was SWAT Cats. You know what? That is one where I'm aware of it, but I have never seen it while growing up. A lot of voice acting on my... Definitely a lot of voice acting, I agree. But don't worry, we could do over the top. I know most of the characters from the first game. I don't remember the cases, so that'll be fun. That'll go through. Let's see, chat. We got the smug voice for Edgeworth. I'm gonna be shouting objection just for you. I have to play, what, a clueless idiot, an incompetent prosecutor, police chief, question mark, question mark, question mark, other characters. I could probably do it. Gumshoe, I have to remember Gumshoe. He'll probably have the Dogi voice. I was gonna say, Nero, never feel afraid to go off topic, by all means. I will try to read the chat and respond as needed. I always find it kind of interesting with the topics. Just saying, off topic involving Cold Steel, one of the main characters played by Sakurai, Japanese voice in Cloud Strife in any game that has him. Any game that has him, interesting. Love the Ace Attorney games. See, that's an example of like, I could probably do it. I feel like the chat would be interested. So we'll put that in reserve. I'll put that on my wish list just for you, chat. See, Nero, you took the words out of my mouth. I was like gonna say my favorite character is Edgeworth. So I had more fun, I would say, overall with the Edgeworth investigations. But I'll go back and play the original Phoenix Wright. The third game I have not played whatsoever. The second game, I got almost to the end, and I was like, man, I did not enjoy the gimmick of that trial. And the first game, I think I did fine with, and that's what encouraged me to keep going. Oh, Chris is saying he doesn't need more conflict with siblings. Sorry. Let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I'm at plus 20. So chat, I think we're at the halfway point. Not too shabby. In one session, we're halfway through. We still have a couple of hours. Very sad how the second investigations never got localized. So I was gonna say, Steve is not in the chat, but Steve would be so happy to know that somebody's talking about Phoenix Wright, because I know he listens to some of the game soundtracks for them, and I know I believe there's like a Phoenix Wright, but it's like in a different era. I don't want to say feudal Japan, but it's definitely not modern day, I'll put it that way. So I know he's been hoping for some of those to come out to the West. And I know there's some crossovers. I'm gonna say Professor Layton has done crossovers with different characters. Oh, that just reminded me of another game. Oh, it's of his ancestor. Thank you for the clarity. Yeah, I was like, one game that's obscure, and that might make me look into streaming directly from like a DS or something. But along those veins, chat, oh man, I love Ghost Trick. That game, chat, is the exception to I will play a puzzle game for you to play Ghost Trick. That will be the exception, chat, because you know how I am with puzzles. But this one's more of a physics puzzle, so I can deal with those. But oh, I love Ghost Trick, chat. Yakuden Saibon. Interesting. So I'm just seeing where we are strength-wise. So we still need 38 strength at the moment. So we're getting there. Yeah, see, I think the chat has to keep in mind, like, I'm not a fan of some of the logic puzzles, because I either get them instantly or I will be stuck at them forever. But if it's more like sort of physics, sort of platforming, I think I'm okay with those. Yeah, Ghost Trick was one of those games where I'm like, oh, I love the theme song of the detective in that game. That song is so catchy. Unfortunately, I saw the plot twist like as soon as I started playing, but it's okay. I loved it anyway, chat. Like the interactions is Ace Attorney kind of a dunce with puzzles. You know what? I feel that way too. Don't feel bad. I was gonna say, for me, it's just like with the Ace Attorney games, it's more like I know very early on who did it, or I'll have it down to 2 people. And then like I want him to investigate something, and I feel myself going, okay, let me think like an idiot and think about how like I will make like 12-step jumps in my logic because I already kind of rule things out, like what's a red herring, what's actually relevant. But then it's like, how do I get Phoenix to acknowledge that this is the case? How do I get him to confirm this? Blonde guy in red suit on a cover, that is indeed Ghost Trick, and he has black sunglasses. That is absolutely the right game. So I feel like it was really funny because it was like when I played something like the Edgeworth games, the hardest case for me was the first case because I just couldn't get the character to ask the right question. And then like the last case in the game was so easy for me. I didn't even have like any misses. I was just like, come on, really? It's just like getting used to like how the game wants you to think. I feel like that's the true challenge of those games. Some of them were like, I'm like, come on, just look at the candle. Why is it not letting me raise the candle as evidence? Things like that. I just kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, okay, it's okay. We'll figure it out, chat. Yeah, I mean, chat has seen me with games. So if it's like predicting the killer in a video game, chat, I'm sure some of you know, both from on stream and off stream, I'm really good at it. Like, almost uncannily so. I don't always have the reason why correct. That's usually for me the most open, and I always enjoy that because it's never quite how I think it goes. But man, chat, when it comes to determining the killer, these games don't have a chance. Remember Lacrimosa, chat? Like, remember that before like we did the investigations? I called that killer so early. I was like, I don't trust you at all. So we'll see. Fortunately, I will know. I can't really guess the killer because I generally, if I start playing the first game, for example, I think I'll remember who the killer is in most scenarios, so I will try not to spoil it. But I'll take chat comments and who they think did it. Whereas the second game is actually, I've not played it in so long, I actually really don't even remember the plot of the game, other than the final case. Kind of one of those weird things. It didn't stick out to me as much. I feel like the first game was a lot stronger, personally speaking. Ooh, we're getting so close, chat. Yeah, I think, for an example, I think my family took me to see, what was it, murder mystery movie? I think it was Knives Out. Because they know I do watch, that I do like watching those kinds of shows and movies. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I said to my family, I just apologized to them. I'm like, I'm sorry. I knew within the first 20 minutes who committed the crime and which one was faked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I figured it out. I mean, they set it up well, but the problem is that, like, I'm able to think ahead with those. I'm like, I'm sorry. They didn't give enough red herrings. I was like, they had only two. For me, when I watched that movie, I'm like, there's only two suspects. And I think it's X. And then I said, like, why we'll think that they did it, but it's really this, that kind of thing. And I was like 100%. I was like, wow, that was okay. It's kind of not in my head. I'm like, okay, yep, It's about what I thought. Yeah, no, they have to have really good red herrings. So that's why some of the murder mysteries, for me, it's just like, they really have to give compelling motives. And they have to make it more ambiguous with the timelines. Like, if they give too clear of a timeline, I usually figure it out really quickly. Like, even if it's something like they don't know the murder method, like, I will usually just guess the murder method. And from there, I usually have the suspect down. And that's the problem. I'm like, don't make the only mystery the murder method, because I will figure it out. Kind of like, I think I was watching somebody play through Danganronpa before it came out to the West, for example, and I felt really bad because I'm like, well, we're not going to talk about the first case, but I feel like all of the cases, I was like, oh, I already know who did it. Oh, yeah, Senior, I'm completely with you. See, like, again, I don't view those things for the romance, so I agree. I find it very distracting when I try to watch, like, a show like Castle, and it's a lot of just, like, the protagonist flirting with the other character, and I'm like, listen, I came here to watch a murder mystery. I don't know what you're doing. I don't appreciate it. I don't really care about your character dynamic. But if you want to go for those things, by all means. Oh, Talentless Nana. Oh my gosh, Kirk. Thank you for bringing it up. What a fantastic show. That show made me so happy because it actually made me second guess myself. That was such a well put together show. Oh, that was probably my favorite modern horror anime. I love it so much, chat. Oh, did they actually start dating? I dropped real early. That makes sense. Yeah, like, I grew up watching things like, because it's more my family would watch it, like my parents were more into the mysteries, so I kind of picked that up from them. Oh, Bones definitely had the same issue. I couldn't watch that show. Parents loved it, I hated it. It did not click with me. I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, stop it. Like, somebody died. Could you have more professionalism, please? Like, please? But, yeah, I want to say Family imports a lot of, like, the European shows. Like, they have, like, the DVD player that's, like, region-free, basically. So they'll watch a lot of things like Midsummer Murders, for example. Or, what's it, Death in Paradise, I think is another one my family watches. Those can be kind of nice. Yeah, like, I mean, like, in terms of, like, my likes and interests, I feel like it was mostly shaped between two things. Like, Kids WB, BBC America. I feel like I grew up on a lot of British comedy, and I feel like that kind of shaped my humor. So I'm more into, like, the dry humor. I'm not so much into like the physical comedy stuff, so all of that in other shows falls really flat for me. And it just makes me uncomfortable to sit through. Like for example, I could watch a show like I Love Lucy and find entertainment from it, but I cannot sit through the Three Stooges. I just can't, chat. I just can't. I'm sorry. But yeah, that shaped it up. Like, I'll give an example of more like BBC shows if chat wants examples of like what I grew up on. It would be like Blackadder, a little bit of Mr. Bean, Thin Blue Line, Vicar of Dibley, Father Ted, My Hero, older Doctor Who. Let's see, I'm forgetting a really obvious one. What am I not naming? Red Dwarf. Red Dwarf is another sci-fi comedy series. I watch like little bits and pieces of other British shows, but those are the ones I can think of offhand. But yeah, it's very much shaped by that kind of dry wit, and I just kind of appreciated it more. Oh, like Monty Python. I don't think I even said Monty Python. I was thinking it. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think I said that out loud. Nero says, does not like characters Bone who have an arrogance in serious shows. I tend to like modest or soft-spoken characters. I am with you 100% of the way, Nero. I feel like when a character has an attitude, like the first thing I think of is like, do they want me to hate this character? I really have to sit there and ponder it sometimes, chat. Yeah, Mr. Bean is just kind of an example where it's just like, for me it was okay, but I mean, it's just an example of stuff I saw on the BBC. To me, I found it interesting from the standpoint of comedy without words, I think is what that kind of introduced me into. Which I find really funny because from Mr. Bean, for anybody that's seen it, or people that haven't seen it, he has like an infamous rivalry with a person with a three-wheel car. Like something terrible always happens to the three-wheel car. And it's really funny because for like the longest period of time, I thought that was like a UK only thing, and then just a three-wheel car showed up outside my house, and they lived next door. I was just kind of laughing about that. I was like, I didn't even know you could buy those here, to be honest. I'm not talking like almost like an open motorcycle thing. I mean, it looks like a van for people that haven't seen it, just like a three-wheel van. That always gets me. I'm just like, I feel like I would be really concerned to like lean in the in the passenger seat on the driver's side. I don't know. It just feels like it just seems like it would be unsteady. Slash, they are much smaller than normal. Yeah, it's like one of those cars. I don't know if chat has an example offhand that they could link, but it's just, Yeah, so Nero's talking about like the appeal of the tsundere character. I feel like when you go into a lot of the kind of tropes with those things, I feel turned off by those things too. Like when a character gets really loud and obnoxious, even if it's not specifically for that personality, I find it such a huge turn off. So that's why, like, when I'm watching something like Demon Slayer and I have to sit through some of those side characters, it drives me wild because I dislike them with passion. It's just like, I understand if it's like they're too stubborn to admit, but I feel like that's like a maturity thing. Like, I feel like that works if they're not like a serious love interest. If it's like a little kid that doesn't want to admit it or something, I feel like it fits more in that scenario, but I just get really tired of it when it's just like used in other contexts. It's like, I get it. Like, we've seen it before. The same character copy-paste across different mediums. Nothing has really changed. Congratulations. Let's see. I think anything else BBC-wise I might have watched. I know I'm forgetting some. Oh, yeah, there's... It wasn't Little House of Horrors. Man, what was that show called? But there were some darker UK shows I watched. I think that's what started getting me into dark content in general, as well as psychological horror. Oh yeah, there was a show I was watching the other day that was just literally called Psychoville. How can you forget a name like that? Don't worry, I'll find a way, chat. Where it's just like, it's really dark humor kind of stuff. So I feel like that is also up my alley. Usually if the character is too perky and upbeat, it's also a turn off for me. Like, I feel like any emotional extreme for me is just not. I just don't identify with it. Because I'm more laid back in general. So when I hear somebody going, like, super peppy, like, yelling either angrily or happily at everything, I'm like, come on. Take it down a notch. I mean, I agree too, Kirk. As I said before, those are the kind of characters where they can't be like the main characters. If it's literally just like some character they bump into, I don't really care. Or if it's a character that shows up like every 100 chapters or something, I usually don't care. But if it's like this character interacts with the protagonist every episode, I'm like, no way. I can't get through it. Anime sketch dance. I'm not sure what that is. Is that... I was gonna say, is that the skating one? But I don't remember. Like, as in, like, the ice skating. So yeah, I always found that kind of interesting, just from the standpoint of, like, what do I like now versus back then? So I feel like... I probably watch more 80s style anime in general, probably because I grew up on it to some extent. But like, would I watch most of that now? Probably not. Like, a lot of them were just like kind of ultra macho. I'm like, doesn't have the same appeal to me as it did back then, I guess. There are certain shows that are definitely very much over the top and are very much inspired by that, like JoJo. But those are kind of the exceptions to the rule. We're getting so close, chat. I can't believe we made this much progress. I think between the lightning ricochet and this room giving us gold, ooh, we're so close. So we're at 600,000. So if it is 25,000 per, it would be four for every 100,000. We're almost at 24. Yeah, now we're at 24. Huh. So we've now definitely passed the halfway point to how much strength we need. Which, again, is a shame, because I don't think it's worth going in any lower than, like, 320. I think what we'll do at the end of the stream is, like, a sanity check, is we're gonna upgrade our character just to see how much damage we actually do to this boss. High school slice of life comedy. Oh, in relation to the other anime. Filling in a baseball club, helping fund who's secretly bullying students. See, there's always the exceptions to the rule. Like, I'll give an example of like one I didn't think I would like, because it does have like a moderate amount of slapstick humor in it. I want to say the full title is like The Misadventures of Psyche K, but I really like that show. So I think there are some exceptions to the rule where there could be like a high school oriented anime, which again is not something I would normally watch, but I'll go back to it. I'm just reading what Nero's saying in the chat. It's talking about Cold Steel treats the MC like a predator when she falls on top of him. It's hostile. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. So that exact character there that you mentioned there is basically... I already forget her name. From Lacrimosa, right? Wasn't it just like the similar kind of setup? Like there's the comical misunderstanding, and then they're like, oh, don't touch me, you're such a creep or whatever. Like that doesn't do it for me. I would agree too. I was just playing Lacrimosa yesterday, and I still don't. Was it Laxia or something? Laxia, thank you. Where it's just like I'm like, I've seen it before. I don't know. I'm like, pick a new backstory. Yeah, that 100% happened in Lacrimosa. But do you see what I mean? Like they just kind of copy paste. That's why I'm like, I get disappointed when those characters are there. I mean, fortunately, Lacrimosa, I feel like the character grew out of it. Not super quick, but at an okay pace. That by like the mid part of the game, that was over with, and I'm like, thank you. Can we please focus on other things? So I appreciate that. Yeah, shit. It's like it's important that it has to stop at some point. It can't just be like their only fighting trait. Yeah, that happened within. Yeah. if you skip all the cutscenes, Kirk, yeah, 10 minutes. But yeah, in terms of like control time, yeah, within 10 minutes of control, I would say that's true. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I don't know. Feel very mixed on it. Wow, we're actually gonna max out the crystals. It's a shame we can't do anything with them. What a shame, chat. So hey, we've almost leveled up, so we're gonna get a bonus level, so we're gonna have some safety defense and a little bit of extra health. Because I think we get roughly, what, 5-ish health a level, and we get 10% of that, so like 5.5. So one thing I'm kind of on the fence about, though, with those kinds of games, like, I know for me, a big reason I did not get into Persona is that I was not interested in raising relationships with the characters. I'm gonna be brutal honest, chat. I'm like, listen, I care about the circumstances you're in. I do not care about your love life. I don't care. I just don't care. Just, like, I find it interesting when they have to give things up for family, or they have to decide, you know, like, priorities and things like that. I like that, but it's like, do I want to take this person to the mall or like buy them something at the store? I'm like, no. Like my RPG money is mine. You're not getting any. Get out of here. You better be top tier. Like that's my immediate reaction. I mean, like, let's compare it to like famous video game depths without going into name territory in case someone somehow still has not played Final Fantasy VII. But when one of the characters dies in Final Fantasy VII that is controllable, the first thing I thought when I was growing up, when I played the original, was, oh man, I really hope I don't lose my materia. I worked really hard on that. I did not care about the character, chat. I feel like that extends to a lot of the RPGs. I find what they do is interesting, and if they have a nice personality, then I'll be more inclined to not let them die off in story events. See? Like, there we go. See, you always have to be careful. There's always someone that has not heard of or knows the plot twist of Final Fantasy VII. I think I had, like, separate conversations about this with other people. I'm like, when can I talk about this game? So I think I spoiled it for somebody, but it wasn't like I spoiled it, like, within a year of release. It was like, I spoiled it in, like, 2016. I'm like, come on. I should be able to talk about it in 2016. It's been out for almost 20 years. There has to be a point, chat. There has to be an agreed point where famous video games can be spoiled. But for now, I'll honor that conversation and not name drop the character that does. For people that have not played the game. But I feel like the same way in the different Final Fantasy games. Like, I know there was another character in, I think it was Final Fantasy 2/4, where I played through and I'm like, man, this character sucks. And the character dies, and I'm like, wow, I don't feel bad at all. I want him out of my team. Give me another character. I'm like, this character literally de-levels as you play them. Like, get out of here. They just get worse and worse. And then they're like, I could be good, and then they suck. Yeah, it's like when I'll give an example. Actually, great counterpoint example for Nero, because you're talking about caring about like the relationship with the characters. I only incidentally build relationship, and Fire Emblem is a game where the first Fire Emblem, I don't think I got a single character beyond C relationship. Because I'm like, I'm playing it as a strategy game first and foremost. And I feel like in the later games, it was easier to build relationship, like, incidentally. Like, I don't have to go out of my way. If they're paired up, they gain relation, but I don't, like, pursue it. Like, not even for the statistics. I'm like, nah, I don't even need it. Like, I think it forces, I think, like, a marriage event in that game, and that made me really upset, because I'm like, listen, I don't want to focus on that stuff. No, move on. So it's like, I'll play that game and I'll play on, like, what was it, Chaos Plus or whatever. And then I'll get bored of it eventually. But then, we'll see. I won't go back to the character relationships. Yeah, first Fire Emblem that came out on the Game Boy, I think most of the cast did not even get a relationship. To be honest. I don't think anybody has ever reached B when I played through that game. I was like, nah. I don't know. Maybe because of the way I play, like, no character dies, so I'm like, well, I don't want more characters to level. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna win with what I have. It's fine. Wow, we're almost at 700,000 chat. Fantastic. I feel like, kind of going along the veins of, like, relationships in games, like, I really liked Devil Survivor, but I was really not feeling the relationship system in that game. And I was like, for me, it was like, it definitely took down the enjoyment. It made a little more sense because, like, you're trying to form allies in, like, a war in the first game. So it's like, yeah, you're trying to decide, like, what the right thing to do is. And I feel like that made a little more sense in the game context, but I still didn't like it. Like, for me, it's usually a detractor rather than an addition for me when I play. I know a lot of people like it, and I think it's cool. Sometimes it adds to replayability, but... yeah. Actually, I want to talk about Double Survivor one more time. So, for those ones, it's more like... you're not, like, going out on, like, fun trips or whatever. It's more, like, backstory related. So I liked it more from the Devil Survivor standpoint, where I got to learn more about why a character was behaving certain ways in different chapters, and then make, like, a morality decision after I know stuff about them. So I liked it more from that aspect. Because you could just straight up, like, let characters die and or go to war with them in that game. So that was more interesting to me in terms of integration. Yeah, like, I'll give an example of, like, where the relationship turns off, because you're talking about a Cold Steel you get to pick, and I feel like that is, like, the key thing. I really don't like being locked out because I don't do some, like, really arbitrary sequence of dates and or relationships from different endings. Like, it's one thing if it's, like, an ending specific to the character, like, that I understand, but there's other times I'll play, like, Shin Megami Tensei 4, and, like, there's a character that just acts like a total idiot the whole game, but because I didn't agree with him enough, I can't go, like, the neutral route ending, even though the neutral route ending is to not side with him either. And I'm like, why am I locked out of the neutral ending? I don't like either of their plans. Why can't I make a decision for myself? Those kinds of things really bother me. So I never appreciate those kinds of systems in games. I think that's why I'm really hesitant to go back into, like, the Atlas RPGs for that reason. That is a huge turnoff for me. Like, Devil Survivor 1, I had fun picking sides, but then it was like, oh, you missed, like, one sub-event, so you can't get the neutral ending. Even though everybody lived, even though you prevented somebody else from dying that's not even a playable character, it's like, nope, no neutral ending for you. I'm like, really? We're talking about Kaisuke? There's only one name I remember from Shin Megami, and it is Walter. Oh, unless you're talking about Double Survivor. I don't remember the names in Double Survivor. I'm terrible with names. I want you to know, my weaknesses are names and puzzles. I will forget character names very quickly. Yeah, the first one, it was like literally every character lived. I still could not choose the neutral ending. Like, wow, okay. Just, okay. Yeah. Dude with the glasses that went on a self-righteous rampage. Yeah, Shin Megami 4, it was more like, I did not agree with, I was gonna call him Jerry Curls and Walter. I didn't like either of those characters. I was like, I want to side with the girl, and it didn't let me. It's like, what a shame, chat, what a shame. Because Walter, I just feel like he's like raw chaos. Get it? I'm the chaos embodiment. I just feel like most of his answers were dumb. Like, I like that I'm pretty sure I got locked out of the neutral ending because I had to answer a question about, like, if it was fair to let taller players play on a court in basketball with other players that are short. I think that was the question that made me, like, tilt over the wall or something weird. Like, just rolling my eyes, chat. Just like, what, really? What does this have to do with agreeing or disagreeing with either of the other two protagonists? Oh boy, chat. HeroSense doesn't like a lot of the Atlas stuff lately. I feel like they can do some really solid RPGs. I'm more a fan of their handheld RPGs. But I guess they haven't done any in a while. Actually, I was just trying to think offhand who made Radiant Historia. Was that also Atlas? That game I had a lot of fun. That's another game where if I wanted to stream specifically on the 3DS, and I could also do Ghost Trick on the same system, I would love doing that game. Aside from Cold Steel, you're not a fan of school-focused RPGs? I am too. Yeah, I agree with that too. That's why a big reason I didn't get into Persona. I'm like, I don't want to live through their high school life. I'm like, I didn't have the most enjoyable high school life. I don't really like the idolization of it, generally speaking. And then on top of that, I don't identify with any of the characters. So I'm like you could not have alienated me more when you pick settings like that. It just does not work for me. I'm like, college, maybe. High school, better be a murder mystery. So we're almost at 700,000, and we've almost leveled. Wow. I can't believe this, chat. We are making excellent progress. Thank you, Chain Lightning, for saving a little bit of time. Yeah, we are just grinding away. I mean, look how much you have to do. I'm not exaggerating, chat. Like, we really do need, like, 320 strength to even hurt this thing for, like, 30 damage. So we are just very gradually getting to the right point. I'm trying to think of other shows, like a comparison. I don't want to go on a Demon Slayer rant, Kirk, but because you've heard it before, but man, I was not a fan of those side characters whatsoever. And I feel kind of sad because, like, I feel like more serious question mark shows, or at least ones that are more leaning towards like seinen versus shonen, kind of get lost in the mix. Just because like a similar either named show or similar premise show comes out. Unfortunately, I usually don't like the shonen variety. Like I for example, both shows about demon slaying, I prefer Dororo over Demon Slayer every time. I just feel like Dororo explored way more interesting concepts, and I feel like Demon Slayer kind of lost its way as it went forward, and I feel like the more it introduced secondary protagonists, the worse off the show was. I know, I love Dororo. I was like, almost nobody has seen it, and I'm like, I feel so sad. I showed that, I think, to Kirk a while back. That show was amazing. And like, again, I'll watch really dark shows. Like, I'll even watch ones where, like, I wouldn't have thought I would have liked it, just because it's like I've never watched something like it before. Like, Kirk, I'm gonna say Kirk's trigger words, but Banana Fish. I really like Banana Fish. That show was ultra dark, and I loved it. You know it originated from the creator of Astro Boy? Yes, I do, actually. You can see that actually in the intro for it. It has more of the original art style versus the anime, where they got rid of their ridiculously big noses. He has a very distinctive art style. I think I've seen him do a little bit of, what is it, Blackjack, for example. And I think I read some of his later stuff. I think he also did one called Pluto, which I think is a follow-up to Astro Boy. Like, I've read some of his manga. Anytime you hear Dororo, you just think of the Sergeant Frog character. I will let you know, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna be honest with you, Chris. I think I have seen an image of it, but I don't know what any of that is about, to be honest. But yeah, I think the Astro Boy writer was pretty nice in general. I want to say in terms of like other writers I try to pay attention to / artists, as the person that did Monster and 20th Century Boy. I like both of those quite a bit. How many anime about when alien frogs wanted to conquer Earth? You know what, that kind of makes sense, because I kind of recall, like, doesn't the frog have like a bazooka or something? Okay, so I've seen images of it at least. Wow, chat, we can no longer pick up any more Amel. Wow. I think once we level, chat, we should just upgrade our stats just to see where we're at. Because we're actually getting close. Well, let's get closer to 90,000 actually. Then we'll go back. The red one. One of them was a ninja who used a tanto as a sword. Let's see. Yeah, chat. I like the ultra darks though. As long as the focus isn't on like it being graphic and more just like the content therein is dark, I will generally like it a lot more. Roro was the blue ninja frog. I will take your word for it. You know what? You mentioned Gundam. That is a show I have never seen. I watched I think Robotrek, because I had that on VHS. Wait, Robotech. I'm sorry. Robotrek is the game I thought was Robotech and is on the SNES. And that's why I said that, Chad, because that also exists. They're spelled very similarly, and I thought they were related when I purchased the SNES game, and then I got very confused. The Robotech dubbing has one of my favorite filler episodes I think I have ever seen. I have yet to find it online, though. Because they did many dubbings of it. It's like the original one, like the VHS dub. That one is more difficult, at least for me to find when I'm looking around. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was just wonderful. I don't know what they were on when they did the clip show of it, but it made me so happy. Like at one point it involves like the protagonist having a fever and he has to save his girlfriend. But they're like all from like the villain and the girl are from like different episodes. So they figured out a way to combine the two is just to say, you know what? She got taken to the moon by the giant alien and he's just now that large and he has to get there via bicycle because he's having a fever dream. They just went like the most nonsensical shots together to just string a really wild story together. And I was like, that was my favorite clip show. I'm like, never change. Like I both learned nothing and then learned that you could just make a beautiful piece of comedy for no reason for your filler episodes. I'm sure it was a serious recap in the original. I'm sure without that version of the dub, it had a very different meaning. But alas, chat. So we are super close to leveling. I'm actually at the point where I might want to try the boss. So we are up a level higher, and this saves us, as I said before, 75,000 in gold. So let's take a little look at our stats real soon. We also have to analyze how much experience we're getting per level. Because again, the game, I think, according to sources online, want you to either be level 60, level 59, or level 58 for doing the boss rush for the super boss. And we are only level 52, so we're like nowhere near close to where it needs to be. Your favorite anime is Gintama, but mainly because its serious moments actually made me cry. I could see why people enjoy it, but I feel like, again, like when it goes really slapsticky, it turns me off. I think that was the problem. Like maybe I just didn't see a good episode and it just didn't pull me in. I could see why people like it at least. Like there are other shows where I like question humanity, like why the show is still on. That's not one of them. I see why it's long running. I could see the appeal of the parodies in particular. So I feel like small clips of it work for me if I were to watch it. There we go. I was gonna say, is that still ongoing? Because I feel like it's been around for quite some time. It's kind of like One Piece. I lose track of like how many years the shows have been around at a certain point. It just goes into that questionable territory. I'm like 10 years, 20, who knows? Its final movie's coming out this year. Okay, I was trying to. I thought I heard something about it ending or something. I couldn't remember if that already passed. So thank you for the clarity. Oh, the manga's actually over as well. Wow. An end of an era. Yeah, I didn't know the manga was over. That's interesting. I was gonna say, chat, you should pray for my well-being, because I definitely, when I started manga, I started Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. I don't know what I was thinking, chat. I think like when those shows started to come out, I went into the manga because I was thinking the episodes came out too slowly. And then I experienced like better manga, as in like I read almost anything else. I was like, oh, I'm not going back to those. I've learned, chat. I must repent from my sins. They're like, I don't know, like other than that, I haven't really been reading too much manga in general. I feel like, unfortunately in the US, there's there used to be a bookstore chain called Borders. And when that was around, I did actually used to buy manga, but since then, if I do read it, it'll be obviously on other kinds of sites that host it. But that was back when paper medium was probably more prevalent to me. I have quite a few of those. Yeah, we had Borders. That's such a shame. Because I feel like there's the only like competitor in the US was Barnes & Noble. I just never liked their book selection for manga. Stand firm on One Piece being good. I think it's more, what's the character? Usopp? I was extremely turned off by Usopp. Yeah, see, Kirk knows what I'm talking about. Man, Borders. I know. Rest in peace, Borders. What a shame. So I did not get super far into One Piece, so I cannot speak to things like the time shift or whatever. I'm sure it got better as it went along, but if you introduce a really unbearable character for me, I will stop enjoying a show and/or manga very quickly. Usopp for me was that. Blondie was like that for Demon Slayer. I don't ever want to hear that character voice acted again in English. I feel like Bleach, the problem with Bleach is it's just one of those things like Naruto where I feel like they had a theory. They had like a promotional like first 4 chapters where like, hey, we're gonna have like this really story-driven thing. And then by like chapter, I don't know, like 200, 300, they're like, now I will assemble the frog form Bankai half-hollow final form. I'm just like, remember when this was about hunting ghosts? Remember that, Bleach? Remember that? Shaman King reboot. See, that's another interesting one. I don't think I am aware of it, but I don't think I've ever read it. So 369 health at level 53, 285 strength, and 271 defense. So we're up a level higher than I thought we'd be. Yeah, Bleach was kind of one of those things, whereas like I think I have an effect. I don't know if it has a name. Maybe there's a term for it, but like I will get really into a show because of the music, and I will ignore all other bad traits about the show if I like the music. Because I will just get so excited to hear like the intro again, or like some of the mid songs kind of throughout, and I'm like, oh, I love this song. And like I'll go back to it again and again, and like my bar for how good the show has to be just slips the lower the quality of the music is. Like, that's how I watch things like Yu-Gi-Oh! All the way through. And some, well, not all of them, but quite a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know how Barnes & Noble stuck around either. I don't know if it's because they switched over to, like, the reading app early or something. Not really sure. That's the only thing I can think of, because they were doing, like, the equivalency of, like, what, the Kindle or something? Friendly local game store. Is that the actual name of the store, or just in talking about in general how in the US there's like almost no standalone little game stores, at least in like the East Coast anyway? Because I remember there was like Funko Land. I remember Funko Land. I like that, where there was like in malls there used to be like electronics boutique, and then like nowadays it's like, do you want to go to GameStop or GameStop? Or GameStop, or GameStop. Like, there used to be, I think, like, a Play and Trade kind of near to me, and they closed up, and I was like, well, that sucks. That was, like, the only store I knew of that was still like around. One of the characters was played by Dio. I do like the Dio voice actor. Oh, Dark Tower was the name of the store. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, for us, it's just like, I don't even know if another game store exists near me. Like, I think I have to drive literally to the other end of the state. Like, not an exaggeration. Like, other than like, I can think of one flea market that has a game store. I'm like, that's it? In like a 30-mile radius of me? Like, it's not that close. So everything else is GameStop. There's only GameStop, chat. We are almost at 800,000. Wow. I wasn't originally gonna put beating the boss in this video. Maybe I'll just put little timestamps when I go to upload this later, so that way people can skip it if they don't want to sit through it. I mean, I've been having a lot of fun, but I know some people just want to see the bonus boss, so I want to keep that in mind. Yeah, for me, there's only GameStop. I can't think of anything else. Nothing is in reasonable distance from me. Yeah, see, correct? Exactly. It's just like every little strip mall around here, GameStop. Yeah, it's kind of a shame, really. And I feel like GameStop pushes a lot of one of those, the little... I was gonna say Funko Pop, but it's something Pop, right? They sell the little figurines, and I'm like, I have no interest in those. Every strip mall, Kirk. I agree. Every strip mall. Funko Pops, thank you. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't care about the gaming merchandise. I'm just like, listen, I just want to play a good game, get recommendations, maybe test it, depending on the game store. We'll have fun with that. I remember I used to get like little. Some like rare games here and there. Like I don't know anybody that has them anymore outside of like going on like a site like eBay to get them. Yeah, see, Kirk, like exactly. Like I was just about to mention Games Workshop. It's really funny that you mentioned that, because like even for things like board games near me, there used to be like a really cool. It wasn't Wizards of the Coast, but it was something along those lines that was near me, and that's gone. And so is the Wizards of the Coast by that extension. So it's like for me, like in the modern era, I have no reason to go to a mall anymore. All the stores I used to like, they're gone. Oh, end of an era, chat. Oh, actually, how much experience are we getting a level? 434. Ooh, 5 experience a level, chat. Oh yeah, we're not gonna grind out this next level. No way. Probably way into board games. You know what? There is no problem with having a hobby. It's only when a hobby prevents you from functioning in life that becomes a problem. Like if you're like skipping work to do your hobby or something, like no. But people are allowed to spend their spare cash on things, it's fine. Or save up for other things. Called Board Game Goblin or something. Can't say I've heard of it. It must be local to Chris, as it were. We are just chugging along, chat. I'm so happy about the progress we made. I love the chain lightning, as I said before. We're squeezing out a little more money each time. We are so close. I can't believe we're almost at 800,000. I didn't think we were gonna hit 800,000 originally at our pace until like next stream. So we're like way ahead of schedule. So thank you, Bombs, for having an okay amount of gold with the 10% gold generator. Wow, just look at that, chat. You know what? We're at an even number of 800,000. Let's go see what we look like if we go back to town. The grind is real. I know. It's just like, this is what the game wants, apparently. Because, I mean, we can't even hurt the super boss. We can humor ourselves at some point and fight the super boss. But we'll see. We'll do a stat check. How about that, Chad? In like an hour, we'll stat check the boss. See if we're strong enough to deal with them yet. Just saying, never got any board games. Played like, oh, you played Monopoly. You poor soul. Pluto. Only recently started getting into tabletop stuff like D&D. D&D is always kind of interesting. I feel like from the D&D aspect, I'm more of like the theory player. So I enjoy the character sheet creation, but not actually playing the character. Oh god, I must have defense increased. That would have been such a big waste of time. Alright, so we only have 9 at a time. Oh, Cluedo Clue over there. Maybe. Clue is definitely a thing in the US. There was a Clue movie. That was a nice movie. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. More power, chat. I don't think I even like Monopoly in the 90s. I'm just gonna call Monopoly out. I'm like, that is a game meant for you to hate other people. I think it teaches you capitalism, and like, it's brutally accurate. it's just the no fun zone. Oh yeah, I've been maxed out on Orf since like, I don't know, like 20 minutes ago. It's been a while. It was back when it was before we even leveled, I'm pretty sure. Hey, we're getting close to 320 actually. Look at that stat difference, chat. Wow. Are we almost at a threshold where we could beat this boss? What a surprise. Thank you, Gold Making. Look at this, chat. 317, I wanted to try it at 320, which was 50 strength higher than when we started. That's looking pretty promising. I think, see, if you say that, even if that wasn't true, I feel like that's the intent. The basic intent is that, like, people with money have power. If you fall behind, you just get crushed. That's all the game wants to teach you. There's no comeback in that game, really. Other than just dice rolls. And even then, it's usually too late. Once the snowball happens, it's over. You're trying to figure out if the movie I'm talking about is the same one. It has Tim Curry in it. That is the easiest way to figure out if that is the same movie. I'm assuming there's only one Clue movie. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's just like, if you want a better alternative to Monopoly and you were trying to figure out something to play, please play Fortune Street instead. It is a much better game. I don't know why people would buy or purchase like digital Monopoly when there's just so many better alternatives that do the same thing. I don't get it, Chad. Yeah, in terms of like role-playing stuff, I guess because like I went to like a lot of camps when I was younger, so I had to do things that didn't involve electronics, so that's where I got into like Magic the Gathering, for example, just as a way to pass time. But things like D&D were introduced. And again, like, I enjoyed more of the theory crafting behind it. Like, I like the idea of, like, either incorporating something I'd seen in a show or a movie, and then seeing how that would work in, like, a mechanic system, or just kind of playing fast and loose with some of the rules, just to incorporate horror elements. I think I enjoyed mostly the horror campaigns the most. I used to play. Yeah, Magic was like, I played it for like a year and a half, and then I was done. Was I in deck construction? Oh, I spent way more time constructing the deck than playing the game. Not even close. It's like a 5-to-1 ratio. I literally would sit there and go like, I have 1,000 cards. Like, for example, like, easy example. I did not pay a lot of money for them for clarity. This is something like somebody was giving away their cards on eBay kind of thing. And it was like $10 for like 1,000 cards or something, right? Like, it's a lot of cards. So I would just sit there and just do combinations where I'd see a card, I'd see an ability, and then like I would start making a deck that was like, how would I optimize this ability? And that's all I did. I almost never played. But I would just sit there over and over and over. And that's why I got addicted to like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Handheld games. Because I love that, where I was like, I took like, what terrible cards do I have? How do I make them work? And I just keep working at it. And I like constantly like tweaking it. I don't like having access to everything at the start, so I definitely prefer the joy of the randomness of that nature. Just because it will make me do strategies or play cards I wouldn't normally think about. So I appreciate that in those mediums. Oh no. You got a Yu-Gi-Oh deck and it was all over. Yeah, I think I played... I don't think how I got into that show in general. I think it was more like... I guess because it was on WB. I think everything goes back to it was on WB, I think, at one point, right? Where Fox Kids. One of the above. No, it was probably on Fox. It's probably on Fox. But between those two very simple channels, I would just go back and forth. Yeah, see, my issue with, like, I did try doing that, Kirk, where you do the booster draft tournament, and I had the worst luck, and I just had no fun with it, because I got no cards that worked. Like, not even an exaggeration. Like, at one point, the player before me, I think got, like, not 4, I think it was 3 cards, Kirk, that were worth $50. I was so mad. They didn't even win the tournament, but they made so much money back because they got like the ultra rare, like for the deck at the time. And I was like, really? And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, hey, I have like 10 cards that are really good together. As long as I keep getting one of these 2 colors, I'm fine. And then every hand that went to me was the opposite color, and I'm like, I don't know what to do about this. I don't want to play red blue. Like, I'll do white, black, green maybe on a booster, but like. Yeah, I have some bad card luck when it comes to that. That's why I think I've never been a big fan of like luck-based games. I prefer to have that control. I'd rather player skill dictate things. Yeah, I could see it being a lot more fun with like the sealed deck, Kirk. I can see that. I think somebody was trying to talk me into playing again. And they were talking about, like, the Commander format or something with that. We're just gonna briefly tangent into a card game. Sorry, people that don't play the card games. But I was like, yeah, you could play, like, a 90-card deck and one of every copy. But I'm like, that ruins, like, all deck strategy. I don't know what I would do with a deck that big. It's too big, chat. I feel like somewhere between... maybe, like, 30 and 60 cards is, like, my limit. For how big I would want to play in one of those games. After that, it's just like your odds of drawing the card are just terrible. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like just win with only one of every copy, then it's like a lot of strategies don't work. I didn't feel super motivated by it. I think it's interesting to have like a commander type beating the deck, because it reminds me of like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Deckmasters thing where you choose a monster and it stays with you. I like that portion of it, but everything else I'm just like, what am I gonna do with one of every copy? What am I gonna do? Just find like every alternate version of the card that does the same effect for any kind of consistency? Nah, let's not do that. Wow, chat. We are gaining an atrocious amount of gold. Yeah, and just kind of like with Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like the early Yu-Gi-Oh! Was probably too basic, and it definitely needed to evolve. Then, like, GX happened, and I'm like, I don't think it really changed the game up too much. I mean, I think they brought fusions a bit more into the forefront and made them a bit less useless than they were in the original. Other than Relinquish, that card was broken at the time. But then it kind of went into, like, I guess it would be 5Ds after that, and I really like the idea of Synchro Summons, because it was like, you could pair some mostly not used cards because of the fact that it has, like, the right level. So there's a bit more variance there, and there's, like, a reason not to just spam your deck with 1900 attack monsters. But I feel like after that, I feel like it lost me. I think it just became like too ridiculous. It's just like somebody's turn should not involve playing 50 cards. I'm sorry. I just don't. At this point, I'm like, are you really playing a card game, or are you just playing like my combo is bigger than your combo? Like, where, what do you do when the person goes second and they just get their combo? I don't really get it. Or consequently, sometimes you just play first, and it doesn't matter because in the much later Yu-Gi-Oh, first became super ludicrous, and they had to limit how many cards you drew. Yeah, actually, that was another thing too. The older Yu-Gi-Oh, if you went first, you still drew a card. I forget when they stopped doing that. But yeah, the later stuff was just like, oh, yeah, I went first, and this character is immune to effects, and oh, I can cancel 2 summons. Oh, and this also cancels traps. I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, you just played. This is the first turn. Like, chill out a bit. You stop that around Arc V? Okay. Slash Arc 5. But I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, to me, it's just like so silly where you had like a ridiculous card in like the GX era, which was like Future Fusion, right? Like that card got completely banned. And then like in the scope of, I don't know, maybe, what would you say, 3-4 years? It's now at 3 because the card's too slow. Like, it's just crazy to me. I know they re-errated some of them, but even then there's just cards that just come back because it just doesn't matter. It's like, whatever. Yeah, like, I want to say, I don't know if this is just a rumor flying online, but or it's just one of those fun facts, but I feel like they were talking about putting a restriction on the side deck because at one point they were holding Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and they forgot to limit how many cards could be in your fusion deck or whatever it was called at the time. So somebody just brought out like a case of like 600 cards. I'm not sure how true that is. That's just one of those things I heard. See, you say Future Fusion and Overload Fusion is good, and that tells me you have not played Exceed. That's too slow. See that right there? That right there? That tells me you played GX. And maybe 5Ds. But as soon as you come into Exceed, too slow. You have to wait a turn, too slow. It's already over. That's what I'm talking about. Like, your Future Fusion, they would just kill it in one turn. You would never get any benefit from it. Like, you would deck yourself, and then they would go, oh, okay, canceled. You're like, wait, what? Like, nope, hand trap, you lose. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's too slow. It could be interrupted, is what I'm saying as well. Like, even if you get it on turn 1, like, you pay the cost, and then they're like, no, hand trap, you lose. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, hand traps are everywhere. Like, that, if you're talking about Exceeds, like the XYZ is written in the chat. I don't know why they call it Exceed. Yeah, that kind of play doesn't work. Where you do like an all or nothing does not work. Later stuff. Yeah, Ash Blossom is a good example. I don't know. It's a very different style. I would be interested in playing like maybe a 5D style game, and that's why I thought I would maybe play the Duel Links, and then it went to Exceed, and then I went, oh, never mind. Never mind. My time of playing the game has passed. Oh, everybody has hand traps. I don't see a reason not to run them most of the time, to be honest. Everybody has at least 2. Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, it was really great in like the 5D era, where there wasn't just like an instant counter to it per se, outside of like really rare cards, like Honest. Showing off that Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge, chat. I passed the knowledge roll, I did it. So right now we would actually be above 320, but chat, we're gonna get more strength because I don't know how much is actually needed to hurt the boss. And you know what, we're having a good time talking, we might as well just keep leveling. We will acknowledge that at this point in the stream, I probably could have attempted the boss and done realistic, like decent. No, nobody likes Honest, but anytime they have light type in their deck, they always use it. This is how it works. Oh man, I remember in 5Ds, like in the game itself, I would just play the trolliest stuff just because I find that, again, I like the theory crafting. So I said to myself, like, can I make a deck that's only purpose is to draw Exodia and actually have it viable in the 5Ds game? Obviously not in like the same level as competitive play, but still decks that are decently well built for the time. Not like the best possible cards, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like a tier below competitive, so it's like when you're not playing versus competitive, how can you make it viable? And I remember enjoying, what was it? There was the card where every time you drew a normal monster, you drew again. It just got like 20 draws in a turn. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I would just enjoy exploiting little things. Or like there's like the concept of like the tag duel in 5Ds. So I could be playing in a 2v2, or I could be playing in a series of matches. But if I have Exodia, and like if you beat an opponent and someone else comes in, they automatically lose because I still have Exodia. It's hilarious. Part of the underdog, thank you. It was hilarious. It was like I beat the 5Ds game with Exodia. They're like, oh no, I am the true final competitor. Oh, you have Exodia, we win. It's like, got him. So I would just abuse the AI. It was so bad, chat. It was pretty much like AI abuse. They had no way of dealing with it. I was gonna say, I feel like in a game, or not a game, I feel like in a show like Yu-Gi-Oh, the card effects were very fast and loose. They played cards that don't exist, the card effects aren't that strong, or they're nerfed in like the TCG versus the OCG. Most of them are a bunch of cheaters though, it's fun. Like sometimes they just have a card where it's just like, oh, I get to, like what was that original, like I'm trying to remember the card name because it's not good in the trading card, which is why I don't remember what it was called. But it was like, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! And Seto drew it a lot, where it was just like, oh, I have 2 cards, but now I can restock my hand up to 7 or something ridiculous. I'm like, I wish I had those. Like, take that, pot of greed, not plus enough. Yeah, see, Yu-Gi-Oh! Makes more sense if you realize the first season of it's not D&D, it's actually Magic the Gathering. Then everything makes sense. All the plot holes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 1 make sense if you realize they're actually playing Magic the Gathering. I just want you to know. I'm gonna blow your minds. Go rewatch it and tell me that it is not Magic the Gathering. Like, oh, you can't block the flying type, where the flying type has advantage over the grounded unit? Oh, that's classic Magic. Take that. Amazing. Can't stop the flyers, right, Kirk? They just come in. You either have an anti-flyer unit or just you lose. Oh, you gotta attack the moon, don't worry. They did whatever they wanted. Yeah, the monsters were very Magic the Gathering. The way they played, they were very much just all over the place. Just silliness, chat. I don't know. See, it's just like classic Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think I could rewatch it again. I really enjoy Seto Kaiba. I like his voice actor in English. I don't think I could rewatch the show. Not the first season anyway. Definitely not. Oh, please, not the Atlantis arc. I can't. My brain can't, chat. Don't make me watch that. there were rules in the TV show. Well, most of the people cheated. They even acknowledged they were cheating. I feel like nobody obeyed the rules in Kaiba's tournament, for example. I don't think anybody played fair. What other things, chat, that I grow up watching that we can discuss? We'll take a short break, I think, from Yu-Gi-Oh! In case people have not played it. I will go extreme on Yu-Gi-Oh! Though, because I've seen a lot of it, but not all of it. Oh, don't even get me started on the Atlantis arc. That's what made me give up. I did not finish original Yu-Gi-Oh! That arc broke me. Nero says, likes Kaiba, don't care for Yugi. I think that's fair. I don't think I'm a big fan of either Yugi, to be honest. I liked it more when it was like the ludicrous dark Yugi from the manga, where he was challenging them to duels of death. I thought that was a more interesting Yugi, to be honest. Oh no, Kirk doesn't know about the Atlantis arc. You poor, you wonderful soul, Kirk. Just never watch it. It's just utter trash. Kirk, they were disobeying the rules so hard that they had an infinite at one point. Yeah, they're just, it's so ridiculous. And I don't mean like it was infinite attack, infinite toughness. I mean, it was literally infinite attack, infinity times. Like just, like they obeyed no rules or logic. It was both amazing and really terrible at the same time. Yes. It was ludicrous. Really want to watch season 0? I mean, I read, I think, the equivalency of season 0. I think my favorite thing in it, I don't remember if it was Mokuba specifically, but I think people even that are not a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Can appreciate the fact that they were trying to play off a gang of school children attacking other people as yo-yos as anything other than really funny. Just letting you know, like, they just attacked other people with yo-yos, and that was just the funniest thing to me. It just made no sense. Like, wait, is it supposed to be menacing? Does Japan have a serious yo-yo problem? Like, what is my takeaway from this? Apparently, they're like, I can't do anything. He's got a yo-yo. Like, or you just take the yo-yo. It's not just cut it. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can deal with the yo-yo. I'm just saying. Oh boy, chat. Oh no, you mentioned the other show. So remember how we were talking about shows where I was interested in them in the beginning, and then the further they go on, I feel like they got weaker? I feel Hunter x Hunter embodies that perfectly. Kirk and Chris probably know, but oh my gosh, the stairs. Chat, I can't unsee the stairs. There's nothing before the stairs, there's nothing after the stairs. The slow motion in the Chimera Ant arc of that show broke me. I think I actually screamed at the screen because I was like so wound up with how much slow motion there was, and I was just like, I just lost it, chat. I went actually physically crazy. I couldn't stand it. Chat, do you know how hard it is to sit through like 18 minutes of slow-mo? And it's like you just want something to happen and just nothing is happening. It's just the most painful experience. It's so bad. Just like, at one point they had like the span of 4 fights during the slow-mo stairs scene, and I'm like, I can't take it. And then you gotta lead into it with the man is bad, look at what technology he has, look at what horrors he's brought to the world, like this super heavy-handed message. I'm like, oh, come on, don't make this character sympathetic. Like they literally produce by like having they consume other living beings, like small human children. Like, I don't really feel sympathetic for these characters. Oh my gosh, yeah, Kirk, I think the part where I screamed is where I was done with the slow-mo, and then it recapped the slow-mo the next episode. That's where I lost it. I was like, I can't take it anymore. like just leave the stairs, please. Like, people will complain about some of the Resident Evil movies with the slow-mo, and they're not good movies, let me just clarify. But oh man, that slow-mo in Hunter x Hunter was, I don't think I could rewatch that arc ever again, chat. Not that I'd want to. That's just one of those things where I'm like, it will forever be remembered. None of the characters involved, chat. Just only the only the stairs. I don't remember any plot point in that entire arc other than the stairs and then the resolution of the stairs. There will only be the stairs, chat. And then I guess it kind of plays into where I'm talking about, like, when we're talking about different shows or different anime, whether or not it's, like, shonen or seinen, how, like, the way they approach a character's problems really determines whether or not I stick with the show. So, like, let's just take Hunter x Hunter as a sample, but this can apply to any show. So, like, on Hunter x Hunter, what I thought was really cool is they showed a villain who's clearly towards, like, the end of the power progression, right? So it gave you, like, a sense of scale, where, like, he would say he is dangerous, and you believed it. You kind of went around, and he just kind of willy-nilly killed people, and there was just nothing people could do about it to stop it, and he's supposed to be, like, quote-unquote a trainee. And it's very interesting, because then the main character has to quote-unquote beat him in a challenge, but it's not, like, beat physically. He just has to take an object off of the clown character, like the psychotic clown. And I just found that so interesting, where it took the perspective of, instead of the protagonist gaining some last minute power that will bail him out, or he's like the ascendant of some long lost bloodline that'll give him Ultra Saiyan powers, like, none of that. I thought it was really interesting that it focused on him. I don't remember the clown's name. It's like Hasuka. It could be like Hasuka. I don't remember. Oh, it is Hasuka. Wow, that's pretty close. But I mean, like, look at how he approached the problem in that particular. Oh, also, the author of that series loves tournament arcs. They seriously need to stop. But I just thought it was so interesting, to get the tag. Like, he's trying to take things he's already learned from stalking and hunting. So he's, like, trying to go in, and he acknowledges, like, if he just goes into, like, a straight-up fight, he's gonna lose. And I feel like that added so much more tension and believability to the universe, that it was like, this character is, like, a novice, but he has to go against, like, the impossible odds. So how do you take a card from somebody that could just kill you in, like, one swing, if they feel like it? And it talks about how he's, like, trying to learn to, like, hide his motions, and he's, like, plotting out, like, what the antagonist is planning to do, and he's, like, trying to find that opening, whether he's, like, going for another player to take their tag. And I just feel like that opens such an interesting dynamic, and I feel like that it's like those things I find really interesting. Or, like, for example, Kirk would agree, this one's a bit more specific to Hunter x Hunter, but, like, when they have all these, like, tournament battles back and forth, like, some of them are literally battles, and those I usually don't find interest in, but then, like, you have a really kind of lackluster arc, like, I want to say it was like the video game land arc. I don't know what you would call it, Perk. And then, like, what was the highlight of that arc? It wasn't a battle between, like, the protagonist and any of the antagonists. In fact, it was the opposite. It was like a super ridiculous, over-the-top volleyball game. And it was just ridiculous. It was, like, the best part of the whole arc. None of the fights mattered. None of the other things mattered. Reed Island, thank you. Thank you. And I feel like that was, like, the highlight of it. It was just so interesting, because it's like, you go through a dynamic where it's like, you have a character that's clearly better than them, and they have to come up with a strategy. And there's, like, they teamed the protagonist up with the same killer that you got to see from the previous arcs. And you got to see them a little bit more about how his powers worked, and I thought that was an interesting way to show it. And it was a lot more interesting that way, whereas, like, this other guy's just clearly messing with them. Like, he's not even taking it super seriously. He's just basically by himself, and even though it's like a 1-to-5 ratio at points, it doesn't matter. He, like, always has the upper hand, and I just thought moments like that, I think, are the defining factor. It's all about, like, that risk-reward, and also how the character goes through with problem solving. So whenever a character, you know, concludes that kind of fight, whether it's a literal fight or, like, a game, as in Hunter x Hunter's case, volleyball, I just find that a lot more interesting. Or, like, the equivalency in JoJo would be, like, when Jotaro finally doesn't solve something by Star Platinum punching something really hard, and he goes against Darby the Gambler. Or another really great one in the same vein is like when he has to go against Endel. I'm trying to remember. There's so many censored versions of that character's name because it's too similar to a band, and I'm trying to remember. But the blind water stand user, I really like both of those fights because it was like both the environment and also the character's powers were clearly in a way that direct strength would not work. There had to be a lot of trickery and misdirection. I know, and I feel like that's kind of the issue with some of the Jotaro stuff is like he doesn't do as much thinking on his feet as maybe Joseph does, where Joseph I think has some really excellent cases of tension that are done well, where you put the risk not on the protagonist necessarily dying, but another bad thing happening. So I will try not to spoil JoJo Part 2, but I would recommend that. I feel like that had the most interesting fights, just from the standpoint of there was a ridiculous handicap and or gimmick to it that could not be overcome in a straightforward method. Like whether you just literally couldn't even touch the being you were fighting, and it would just consume you alive if it did, or things like holding on to somebody that's dangling from a ledge while still trying to have a full-on fight with the antagonist and being restricted to a small area of space to fight, or a certain antagonist basically becoming super powered and having like everything possible, and like how do you beat that? And that's not a thing where it was really solved by just straightforward force, and I really like that. Even in the shonen when they do that, I appreciate it, chat. Like, it's okay to have some fights where, like, you know, you eventually have to kind of brute force knock them out most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Like, right? You have to get into the position of checkmate, and then the person gets punched, kind of thing. Or I liked yeah, it's just like when I think about like the most memorable Jotaro fights, like for example when he goes against like a Flesh Eater stand where he also cannot directly hit the thing that he is dealing with, but he realizes like the stand user can be hit. Like the stand user is not immune to physical attacks, but the stand is. So he's just thinking of a way to get him into closer proximity and figuring out how to trick him. I feel like that's where those kinds of stories are the strongest. Arc 2 in the anime is really good, and I want to talk to you about that, Chris, when you're done, because that's probably one of my favorite in the anime so far. I guess since we're very briefly on JoJo, I will say I think my favorite to probably reread would probably be Part 7, Steel Ball Run. I feel like if they cleaned up the art of Arc 2, I would have liked reading Arc 2 more, but it had like super inconsistent art. I remember that when I first read it. Arc 2 definitely is 2 of my 3 favorite scenes. What has your other 3rd favorite scene, Kirk? You can't leave us on a cliffhanger like that. Is it Part 4, Kirk? See, I think like Arc 1 makes a lot more sense when you realize the characters are literally Fist of the North Star. And their outfits are literally emblematic of Ken versus Shin. You have the blonde hair antagonist versus the superpowered my fist do anything protagonist. Oh, Part 4, the strongest secret stand. Oh, that's a good way to not spoil it. It's true. That was a really good part. See, I feel like when we talk about those things, like what do I enjoy about those? I'm not so big on the slice of life stuff. Like Part 4 was very much like a slice of life where it was just kind of like, I'm not gonna say mystery of the day, but it's like encounter of the day where they don't really lead anywhere necessarily into each other, and sometimes they don't even play any relevance on the plot at all as it goes forward. Like the chef, for example, had no bearings at all on the plot once he's encountered in Plot 4, as an example. But at the same time, I feel like it did have some pretty strong moments throughout. Like, I still think my favorite moment is, I guess to go as non-spoiler as possible, but still talk about it in a way that makes sense, is Daga Kotowai, or I Refuse, because that is an extremely memorable scene, and was probably my favorite scene overall. Part 4. Same with MHA. Oh, My Hero Academia. Chad, I will also let you know my third weakness are acronyms, because those mean many different things to me, and I have to untranslate business talk and think about what that means in context of shows. My brain doesn't translate it all the time, unfortunately. Also, we're at a fantastic amount of cash. I was not really paying attention to how much we had. But we're actually at almost plus 11? Wow. You know what, chat? We're gonna go for like... let's have a round number. Let's go for 300,000 and see how we do against the Super Boss. Yeah, like yeah, I don't blame you on MHA. That I don't blame you. If the title itself is really long, I don't blame you on that one. Like, I don't know. My MHA is like one of those shows where I really wanted to like it, and I feel like it really flubbed the execution. And I would really love to see somebody kind of remaster a very similar plot, but just like really clean up the anime. Like, it definitely has like its moments, but I feel like in those same episodes, it's marred by like really clunky cuts or just like really unnecessary exposition. I don't know. Like, the easiest example I could think of would be like the hero killer arc, quote unquote. And that was completely ruined. That was like one of the worst executions I've seen of like Team A does something and must rendezvous with Team B. That was like one of the worst examples I have ever seen. It could just have like no concept of pacing. It was just horrible. And then it's like to go to that from something like JoJo Part 4, which has like 3 protagonists doing something completely different across multiple days, and it is like clear as day what is going on, and like you flip to how many times are they going to show me this one hero meeting up with the 2 instructors? It's just really painful. It's just like, if only someone could have like storyboarded this a little better. Like, I liked all the plot points of it for the most part, and I like some of the animations in the fight scenes themselves, but man, getting there is a little too rough at points, to be honest. And it's like that, that's fine. Maybe for some people that doesn't bother them. Like, for example, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't like Yu Yu Hakusho, but I will go back and watch that despite all of its flaws. Although only to a certain point, though, because the love of flaws can only go too far. Yeah, like, I really appreciate, like, okay, so Kirk, we're gonna talk about storyboarding. Talentless Nana. Fantastic storyboarding, right, Kirk? Do you feel the storyboarding in that show? Fantastic. Excellent example of where they thought ahead. Fantastic. So good. That show was too good for me. I know, Kirk. That show was so good. I was like, I didn't deserve that show. Yeah, it's like the fight itself was okay, but it was like when they were trying to cut away to the instructors, it just did not work. At one point, I thought it was on repeat. I'm like, didn't this scene just happen? And then it was like the same scene, but then they added like, oh, the protagonist is actually down this alleyway. I should go meet up with him. I'm like, did you have to replay the whole scene for that? Really? Including him killing the demon twice or whatever it was? Why? And then I also think they captured it in the recap, so I think they showed it 3 times if I'm not mistaken. One was literally a recap, and the second time was just them adding a line to the scene. It confused me horribly. I honestly thought the browser had crashed and I reloaded the video. Never watch the last story arc. That my advice to you as a Yu Yu Hakusho person is if you like that show and you like the characters, never subject yourself to the final story arc. Just stop. Just acknowledge that the same writer who did Hunter x Hunter really liked too much DBZ, and that is the final story arc. Just give it up. When you just never go full DBZ, chat. Listen, it only works in very limited scenarios, but never go full DBZ. Yeah, it was really bad. It was like And then I'm like, I was in such disbelief at how terrible the ending was. Like, it was already a not good arc. Like, let me be really clear. It was already not good. But I was in such belief that the ending was as bad as it was. And then I read the manga ending and I was like, how is it worse? I was like, this is what they ended on in the manga? Are you kidding me? Oh, man. It's a no-win scenario. Last I saw was the Demon Tournament arc. You know what's kind of sad, Kirk, is you will actually have to specify which one that is because there's more than one in Yu Yu Hakusho. Because as I said before, that author really likes tournaments. AKA the person that Hunter x Hunter. They really like tournaments. Are you talking about the first one, Kirk, or the second one? The second one, they were in the underworld. The other one, they were on the island or whatever. Chapter Black is also not really worth finishing. It's one of the ones where I like everything up to it. Demon King Demon Tournament are. Oh, okay, that's the second one then. Yeah, not the island. Yeah. Yeah, it was so bad, Kirk. Don't finish it, Kirk. Don't finish it. If you like the characters for what they were, they throw in like really, really bad romance side plots at the end. Atrociously bad. I mean, I could spoil that if the chat wants. It has nothing to do with like the rest of the arc, but it's just like that specifically. I don't want to ruin your image as a characters if you like them. Is that it absolutely dumps on that character in that arc. I just say oof and why as the responses. That's fair enough, chat. Just shake your head though. So we talked about quite a variety of things. So I'm happy the chat got involved. We get to reminisce about different shows. Some things I have to check out later. I'm gonna go back and probably rewatch the stream to some extent. Just to grab some of those names. Or actually, I think my chat still has it. Maybe I'll just scroll back up in the chat. That should be fun. But I think we talked about a whole bunch of things between last stream and this stream. So we talked about a little bit of stickers, or not stickers, but the emotes for Twitch. Talking about possibly having more screens. I have to decide at some point what would make sense. I do want to have it in such a way that if people are just coming in, that there is like an obvious kind of like intro to what we're doing. Because I think we do that at the end of our stream sessions, which is fine. But I think it's also nice to start off the stream that way too. So we're almost at the magical 300,000, which will be our probably stopping point for the grind. So we will not bother leveling up again. We're already one level higher than I thought we would get, to be honest. So that was some super fast-paced grinding. And then I think that we'll reserve next time for item clearing, maybe. We'll just go back and we'll just see where those items were. I think they're all really close to the beginning of the game. I think the issue is that one of the items is before we beat the mountain boss. And I think the other save file I have is after that. So I can't quite do that. So I'll have to replay the game to some extent. Fortunately, I don't need to talk to most of the NPCs again, so it shouldn't be too long to replay for you, chat. Enemies. Yeah, there's like literally the first time you're in town there's a quest, then after the mountain there's another quest. I think that's all we missed. The Thief's Gloves we could get with the other file. If we just wanted to show every item, that's it. If we want to get the missing letter, we have to go to a new game, I think. The only other thing we're missing is the heavy sash, but we could get that at any time. There's apparently a movement gimmick with it, but I didn't really feel comfortable enough to do repeated lunge jumpings. It involves a weird bug while being heavy, where lunge built up like a lot of momentum, like more than it's supposed to when you're heavy. Which is kind of counterintuitive if you think about it, because you're heavy, why are you jumping further and faster? It is what it is. So rather than trying to do that tech for leveling, which I think would be faster to do than what I'm doing, I'd rather just get the consistency. So we could get that at some point. And chat, I will let you know, it's in the Ruins of Lost Time, because of course it is. Where else would it be, chat? Where else would this item be? Just roll your eyes, chat. Of course it's there. We might even pick it up on the way to the mini-boss. Apparently, chat, there was a railing somewhere in that dungeon that we could have dropped down from and somehow did not see and or drop down to in any other room. Even though we dropped down like a million times into those rooms, we still missed one, chat. Just roll your eyes. Like, it's very easy to miss items in this game. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that portion of ease. But we're getting there. Wow, I can't believe we're almost halfway to leveling, too. More importantly, we're at almost 300,000. So I think I'll label this video as, like, bonus content, because I think we're formally done with the playthrough as far as I'm concerned. We're just kind of going for the 100% clear. So when this goes up to YouTube, I'll probably label it as such. That way people are interested in the plot. They've already seen everything, basically. This is just makeup content, because we had a couple makeup contents before. Which reminds me, at some point I have to go back and redo part of Origin. Although I'm not sure if I'm allowed to clear the arena levels or not. Because I didn't realize my voice recording was so weird. So I didn't upload that onto YouTube. So I'll probably partially redo it. Just to showcase the different arena levels. And who knows, maybe at some point we'll replay Origin, but we'll play with the bonus characters. Because keep that in mind, chat. We only unlocked, I think, 1 out of 3 bonus characters. There's like EX versions of the characters where it's the same character, but they have much better specials. That could be an interesting playthrough. We could probably play on slightly higher difficulties throughout. Maybe we'll go as high as Nightmare on Claw. We'll do Nightmare EX Claw. Everybody else can be on hard, though. We probably will not bother beating the bonus bosses, though, if we do that. There we go, chat. We are 5k away from ending the grind and doing a stat check on this bonus boss. Thank you for sticking with me. Lots of interesting conversations throughout. I definitely appreciate the call. But I'm just thinking in terms of like other things to open up to the chat. Definitely if you have any channel point suggestions and or Ziggledy suggestions, you can add to it. We touched upon it a little bit last stream session, but I just want to add that that's still kind of like a work in progress, as I said before. My goal will definitely be to get the emotes above all else, just because I know from my very limited experience as being a Twitch viewer that you accrue channel points, which lets you get the emotes for free, so that way you can enjoy them too without needing to pay. I think the chat would enjoy that. So we've talked about a little bit last time what kind of mascot characters we have. Although I think if we're gonna do one for Adol, it'd probably have to involve fire somehow. We have to talk about Adol's unhealthy obsession. Either with fire, I mean, we could do one with the measurements, but I prefer not to do that. But something that represents him, I suppose. Yeah, it would definitely fire at some point. See, this is where like I have great image ideas, but it's like I don't think it works as an emote because it's too small. Because it'd be nice if you had like an image of Adol and he's got like either fire in his eyes or he's thinking of fire. Mason Torch needs a sticker. Could do Mason Torch. I'm just trying to think what that would entail though. Oh hey, we passed our money total. Hold on, what am I doing? Okay, chat. Let's see how much damage we do to this bonus boss. So we're going in with a little extra strength than intended, but keep in mind, when we go to fight this boss, well, one, we're not going to use the Starlight Metal. We're going to use the Revive Stone. We're going to have prevent all status abnormalities, and we're going to need something that increases... Yeah, we have attack and defense. Let's get 50% health. I think this is as good as it's going to get. I want to see if we're just a little shy on damage, we might switch into the Galba hand, because this does add 10 to strength, and that is kind of significant. I don't know if the boss can cause status abnormalities. That's the only thing I'm not certain about. I mean, I guess we could do this. That way we can learn and get that knowledge of the boss's something that will make us heavy or something that will make the fight impossible. We have an okay amount of health at the bottom. 553, so we would have 1,106 health to beat the boss. Well, technically 1,105, because if we take the full number, we'll die. Let's go ahead and purchase the last of the power seeds. I can't imagine doing this on normal. I'm glad we did this on catastrophe, because doing this bonus on, or doing this boss on normal just seems abysmal. So we're above 330, which is the number I wanted to hit. And we have a little extra. That's not too shabby. But again, I feel like the big limiter for us is not the damage we take. I think it's more the damage we deal. Let's go ahead and get our last little power increase. So we are almost at 340. We are one shy. What a shame. Okay, let's go visit the boss, chat. I did not think we were gonna make this kind of progress, but you know what? We're at the end of the stream. We're at a reasonable stat line. I don't think we have a ton of defense, so we still can't take many hits. Alright, let's save this on a totally new file. I don't want to overwrite this by accident. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna have to keep an eye out for a place we can drop down, and if we don't see it, again, we'll just clean it up in the next stream session. It's not a big deal. Look at that thunder magic, chat. Get out of here. Wow, it's doing 940 already. Fantastic, chat. Yeah, like, there's this here. Is it, like, here or something silly? Oh my gosh, is it really that easy? Disgusted, chat. I'm disgusted. I mean, I didn't know exactly where it was, but I'm just gonna roll my eyes. Yeah, roll your eyes, chat. Of course. It's like only that specific spot was needed for the item. Oh, these guys are dead. Shouldn't even bother. How do we leave this room again? I'm trying to remember.
What?
Yeah. Oh, was there like a room to the left and I just didn't see it? It's possible I didn't see it. Yeah, let's go around again. Yeah, there we go. I missed the door. I was sort of remembering we had to like go back in the center somehow. So we're just gonna jump around, completely ignoring these enemies. Speaking of which, let's not make a terrible mistake. Let's make sure we have the right armor, chat. Goodbye, enemy. Fortunately, that means we're not at max health. Which, I mean, I can always recover health. Hold on. We can just recover health wherever we are. It doesn't matter. We got these now. How fast does this heal? I feel like we never use this item for its intended purpose. There we go. Let's get that 40 health, chat. Maybe it'll make a difference. So we've increased our health total by a little bit, but more importantly, that armor, I believe, also randomly negates attacks. So that will potentially extend our lifespan by quite a bit. Hopefully we can take advantage of this. So we are gonna give this boss a good try. So what else could we equip? Experience. Oh, we definitely need the 5. Yeah, I think we definitely need the 5 strength, 5 defense. I feel like that's fair. Ooh, these enemies are just ultra dead. Here we go, chat. We should have more strength than I think in the normal mode, and we have a revive bell. I think we have less health, because I think the challenge mode had like, what was it, 600 something plus? Because I remember freaking out, because I was like, there is no way we were getting to that health total as intended. Okay, now that we know the secret of the lunge jump, let's kill this enemy so it doesn't hit us. Ooh, I don't know if I can make it from there. From here, I know how to do it, so let's just go from here. I'm gonna tap, get used to the jump. Oh, oops. I held the button down, that was my mistake. I'm gonna blame being slightly tired, chat. Alright, let's try this again. Let's just practice it once, like right here. I'm gonna go right, double tap, and then hit it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, come on, what? How did it even knock me down when it does 0? Oh, it did 2 damage to me, my bad. I don't even know how we're even taking damage at this point. We shouldn't even possibly take damage. Like, we're so ludicrously over-leveled for this area. I'm not sure why we took any damage. Let's get out of here, game. Not sure if I can get it to the left side. I just feel more comfortable with it being on the right. Let's try this again, chat. Oh, I was not holding far enough. Oh, I got myself in a bad momentum with it. See, the problem there wasn't that, like... It wasn't that I double tapped wrong. It was more that I didn't hold back long enough. The true gatekeepers to the bonus boss, chat, is the lunge jump. It's not the boss stats itself. Stop that. Actually, can we even make it from here? I prefer this thing to die so I can experiment without being scared. Oh yeah, we kinda can. Okay. And we're gonna switch to the truth-seeing platform. Oh, I got a bad jump there. That was scary. Let's like kind of go forward. There we go. Before we enter that room, we're gonna make sure to equip our thing that gives us 5 extra strength, because I think we will need it. And let's see, chat. Let's see how it is at the end of the stream session. Okay, what weapon should we use? Probably wind magic, but lightning, if we need to play keep away, is not a bad alternative. We'll start with wind and see how it goes. Oh, we're doing some decent damage to that boss. That's good. How are you supposed to dodge that? That like homed in on me instantly. Whoa. So our crits do a lot of damage, which is nice. So we already died. Wow, this thing does ridiculous damage. I'm not sure how you dodge that, to be honest. So it looks... Whoa! Lightning damage does that much on a single target? Oh, wait a minute, chat. Wait a minute. New strategy. Excuse me? How many times did that hit that boss? Oh, never mind, chat. We have a strategy. Again, I don't know how you dodge that. I feel like that attack is pretty cheap. Okay, so we just have to not get cheaped out, which might be harder than it sounds. Man, this is just nonsense. How do you dodge some of this? Right, we want to run away from this thing, because I think it's trying to Death Angel me, and I really don't appreciate that. Man, we actually almost won. Hold on, wait a minute. I think we have a good strategy here, chat. I don't want to approach this thing at all. Let's just stay here. Oh, now it's not doing its stupid angel of death, is what I was about to say. Okay. I think we got this, chat. I think we actually strengthed up enough to beat this boss. Took multiple laser hits. That's not good. See, I want to see this attack. This one's pretty easy to dodge. Oh, I was trying to magic. I got greedy. I tried magicking to kill it, but I got greedy. I shouldn't have tried. I was like in a stun lock and I didn't realize it was eating my input right away. Ooh, okay. I think we got this, though. I think we can actually beat this boss. Just this attack is so dumb. Oh, it didn't do the angel attack. Is it literally just RNG whether you beat the boss or not? I mean, I think we now have this. As long as I don't approach, we win. Oh, we killed it. Congratulations. Chat, we beat it without the revive item. Nice. We didn't even use it. Look at that. What a great kill. Oh, I wish I knew lightning linked on itself. I thought it only worked if it had another target. So there we go, chat. Congratulations. We have now beat the hardest challenge in the game. And we didn't have to go to level 60 for it.
Dead already?
Challenge done. That wasn't too bad. Finding out lightning was that broken at the end of the game? I wish I knew that a little earlier, but hey, I guess if we replay the game, chat, you get to know. Lightning dumb. Lightning very dumb. It's technically weaker than the other sword, and I feel like the other sword has better arcs. So like when we're playing ping pong, I'd rather play with the blue sword than the lightning sword, for example. But yeah, lightning sword's stupid and single target. So I guess we'll just go to a save point and save our game? Oh, there's Caplo Wooders. I didn't pick them up. Oh well. Whatever, chat. We missed out on the Caplo Wooders. Whatever. we don't need money anymore. Money is meaningless. It doesn't matter. So we'll just make another save. So wow. I guess that's it for now, because the rest of it involves playing through the game, and unfortunately I have an early start tomorrow. So let's talk about everything that we did today and talk about the progress. So chat, surprisingly I got it in like less than 5 tries. You know, we found the magic of the lightning shocks. It was really dumb how many times that hit. I know. Oh darn, that Caplo Wooder we never used for its intended purpose. I feel bad for people that were grinding that on this difficulty at high levels. Chat, I'm gonna be real honest. I don't think anybody, or at least not on like the game facts guide, I don't think anybody talked about how stupid lightning was. Because chat, I think we talked about this before, but whenever I beat a game, I always like to go back and look at the guides just to see what people do, just to see like, well, for missed content, but also for like how people approach the game. And I feel like this is one of those games where I think the guides were wrong. That was really easy. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, we just got stat checked. We just needed to know 330 was the strength total we basically needed to aim for. We went a little over, but in the span of like what, 3.5 hours-ish? Started at 7, yeah, about 3.5 hours we beat the boss. So that wasn't terrible. I will let you know, chat, I spent almost as much time doing that on the East 3 boss compared to this, comparatively. I think I did. Actually, maybe I spent more on the East 3 boss because I was really concerned about game overing on that boss. I was so concerned, chat. To get those 2 levels took me the 3.5 hours, I'm pretty sure. And that was just for some marginal strength defense increases, as opposed to suddenly we have ascended into godhood, all shall perish. So we had pretty decent defense, and we even beat the bonus boss without needing a revive. That was even better than expected, honestly. So I don't know how you were supposed to dodge the angel attack. It just seemed like really big AoE, and there's no parry button, so I don't know what the intended strategy was other than to take damage. The lasers, I feel like there was probably some kind of pattern, because I noticed when I moved close on one of the patterns, I didn't get hit. But then I did the same thing later at a slightly different distance, but then it hit me. So I don't quite know what the best approach was for that boss, but I think we could all agree lightning was the best strategy as the attacker / the aggressor. I showed him that only I am allowed to wield the power of lightning. Only one light user in this world, chat. It's not the bonus boss. Yeah, lightning, I see, I was like, oh, we're gonna do like 8-9 hits, you know, it's not too shabby, and then we did it. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think if we reflect on usefulness of the lightning attack, I think the way the game mitigated the lightning attack from being cheap and some of the other bosses is, you remember, they have multiple parts you can strike. So I think lightning can bounce between the parts that don't take any damage. Or like, for example, the final boss has a lot of annoying low health enemies. I think that is also there to stop you from just insta-killing the lightning. So I'm not sure if there was a boss we should have used lightning over, per se, over wind. If it was like if it only had one hitbox, definitely. But yeah, for crowd control and regular clears, I definitely should have been using the lightning sword earlier. Lightning was so good. Chat, I think we can all agree the worst sword in the playthrough was Fire Sword. By far the worst. No contest. 0 contest. It was garbage. We used it for its intended purpose on one boss, and we experimented with it, I think, twice. And its AoE Fire Slice is obviously completely inferior to Lightning in every single regard. So there's nothing that Fire Sword did that other swords didn't do better. If I wanted more damage, the normal strikes of the blue sword were faster, the DPS was better. If I wanted pure speed, the lightning sword was even faster than both of those. If I wanted a better charge magic, lightning was the best one in the game, but I feel like wind situationally was also really good against high targets and also just making us invincible for a decent amount of time. I feel like both of them have justifiable uses. Fire was garbage. Fire had the worst charge move. We tried it once and it was like, I have to be stationary to get a short range strike. Why would I ever do this? Makes no sense. I feel like that sword was programmed for another game. It just didn't work. So I guess we'll talk about our expectations for the next stream. So wow, the killing those gold people slash the bombs cut out a whole lot of time, is they were so fast to kill comparatively. And again, that chain lightning giving us an additional, even just like another 100 per run, obviously adds up if we're going for almost 100,000. So that was kind of nice. We probably squeezed out another 8 or 9,000 gold just from doing that. And you saw what that net us in the end. That was very important. But from here, I think we're just going to show off. Oh, thank you, Nero, for following. I'm not sure if the sound effect played, to be honest, but thank you. I do appreciate it. I think next time we will focus on just going through and getting those remaining 2 items. It played. Okay, it's probably just muted. Oh, it's probably muted on my end. It's probably my issue. So good, the stream heard it. We're wide open. That's good. Thank you, chat. Thank you for verifying, because OBS died at some point thanks to Windows updates. But from there, outside of those 2 items, I think we'll just transition into E7. One thing I will say as a forewarning in E7 is that for whatever reason, E7 does not allow you to change the inputs on your controller. I don't know why that's a thing. Can we talk about this? Like, what year are we in that we have a PC game? Didn't I find one of those items? No, I'm still missing the Thief's Gloves, and I'm still missing the event item. For the letter to the merchant. I'm not ready for the Lacrimosa skip. Well, we can talk about it. I'm getting close. But I don't know why. Yeah, E7 lets you reprogram all your keyboard buttons, but I'm like, I'm not playing on a keyboard. Let me program. So it has some really awkward default controls. So I might have to work some controller magic, and that might take a little time for it to work. But the default controls don't make any sense. Like, chat, I'll put it this way. Chat, what button to you would be a menu on a controller? Think really hard. Now disregard everything you thought of, and if your answer wasn't right thumbstick, you're wrong, according to E7. Think harder, chat. You're just wrong. You're wrong. It's right thumbstick. Why is it right thumbstick? I don't know. I don't know. Map is L3, which drives me absolutely bonkers. That's even worse for me. I'm like, why is this happening? And then it's like, there's no jump button from what I saw with the controls. There's kind of like 2 major skills, and they are opposite buttons on the controller. And I'm like, why would you do that for combos? It's like square and circle on the PlayStation controller. I was like, what inhuman monster decided right thumbstick was the menu? So well, fortunately we have a weekend in between when we do Tuesday session of East, but I'm gonna have to work some controller magic because I cannot play the game in its current controller status. It makes no sense, chat. It makes no sense. I started it up today and I was like, what am I witnessing? I don't get these. And then like, the worst part, chat, is that there's another item menu. Oh, here. Okay, chat, you get one more chance. You get one more chance. If you know R3 and L3 are menu, and if I told you there's yet another item menu shortcut, chat, you get one more chance. What button would you put it on if L3 and R3 are taken? I want you to think about it. I want you to think about what would be a good button, giant quotes. Just take it a little bit. Circle or up on the D-pad. You're actually close with one of those guesses, but not quite. Circle is, I think, the attack default in the game. I think it's either circle is or square is. Oh, R1 is an item menu. That is an interesting choice, but see, you're giving the game too much credit. That's like on a button you would normally think would be assigned to something further away. You wouldn't have to press it as much. Chat, the obvious answer is if you are a Nintendo Switch user, it is the B button. If it's an Xbox controller, I believe it is the A button, and if it's a PlayStation controller, it is the X button. They put it on X. I don't know. just magical things are happening, chat. I don't understand the default controls of this game. I know. I was like, what monster put it there? Like, I'm trying to attack, but my thumb rests on the menu button. That makes no sense. Like, has the person held a controller before? Are we sure? Are we sure they know what a controller looks like? How was this? How was this on the PSP? With there's no way it was like this on the PSP with these controls. There's no way. It has to be fixed. I refuse to believe that was the default controls in the PSP. I really refuse. I refuse to believe, or the Vita. I mean, I refuse. I was like all the common buttons. No, just none of them work. I think the only thing that makes sense are L1 and R1 are character swap. I think those are the only buttons I tested that made any sense. Everything else, I'm like, oh, it's opposite. Ooh, I don't like circle mashing because it puts your thumb away from the other buttons. So that makes it harder to do like jump attacks, because your thumb naturally rests off of the controller unless you hold it claw style, which I don't recommend. So as I said before, chat, that's the current struggle of E7. Also for E7, chat, I really apologize that the first video is too loud, because the game also does not let you enter a sound menu until you play the game. So I had to let the game play through about 10 minutes of cutscenes that I think were unskippable, or at least it would. Who knows? Maybe it was skippable, but the controller was really weird. So I'm gonna say for me it was unskippable. In order to access the sound menu. So I'm hoping that the sound controls are mapped across game files, so we don't have to do that live. But, you know, E7 things, chat. E7 things. So in terms of other expectations, so that's East for next week. We're going to wrap up the game, I think, on Tuesday. We're going to go into E7 for the weekend. We are basically at the point where we are just item collecting in Berseria. So honestly, I think Saturday will mostly just be a cleanup of the weapons. Sunday might be beating the final boss, or maybe end of Saturday will be. And we're going to move into, I think, any minigame cleanup or any other missing content I can think of for Berseria. But otherwise, we've seen all the skits. We've beaten all the bosses, except for the true final boss. Honestly, I guess it's up to the chat. If they want me to completely max the character, we could spend extra time on Sunday just gearing it all up to +10. Technically, we could also go for things like the titles, just to say that I have them, because I think those are the only 2 Steam achievements I'm missing for that game. So I've definitely put in the work for everything else. But we'll see how the chat feels and what makes sense for pacing. But I think after we're done with that game, we're going to transition into probably Tales of Destiny 1. We're going to go back to one of the older Tales of Destiny games. Then we'll work our way forward. So now that we've seen the latest in this, I guess that's kind of what we ended up doing with East, where we viewed the most recent one at the time, and then we just went back to the predecessor. So we'll probably go back to the predecessor one of Tales of Destiny. But from there, I'll decide at some point I want to take a break from the longer series. I'll just do like a quick one-off game, like Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, or at some point we'll do Shining Tear. Shining Tear might be after E7, after we take a break from series. But I think that's about it in terms of the plan. So hopefully that interests the chat, and we're going to be continuing with a lot of different RPGs. Pretty much nonstop, except for maybe, as I said, Monster Boy is more of a platformer, I would say, than a traditional RPG, but we'll still go through it. But I'd just like to thank you all for joining. I had a lot of fun talking with the chat. I'm not sure what to call these segments going forward. I was afraid to label it in Twitch as like just chatting, because the intent was definitely to just talk over the monotonous grinding. Because I mean, it's just like we had to do it, otherwise we couldn't even hurt the boss. But I had a lot of fun, so I'll have to keep this kind of in mind. Maybe we'll have another grind session. We'll have to figure out a key term definitely going forward, where the emphasis is just mostly on the chat as I do something that's kind of simple. Grinding and chatting, I know. See, I didn't want to call it just chatting because I'm not sure if that has a connotation in Twitch. Like, I feel like when people use that tag, it assumes a camera. So I feel like people might get mad if they see gameplay footage during that. I'm not sure. Like, maybe it's just me. Again, I'm a newer user when it comes to a viewer, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge those things without experimenting a bit more. Yeah, like if we just want to chat in general, like we'll do more of the stuff on stream. Definitely, we're doing that a little bit, I want to say, with Berseria already, but we could give it some kind of formal name. And that way we could just put it as like a tag, either in the title of the stream itself or utilizing something like just chatting. Yeah, it's just like, well, I want to make a description difference. Is we could say grinding and chatting in the title, but there's literally a just chatting category. That's what I want to make sure. I want to make sure I'm not like abusing it or misusing the category. But I had a lot of fun. We could definitely talk about a whole bunch of things on Saturday, Sunday, and probably a little bit on Tuesday to some extent. Yeah, that's where it's like my unfamiliarity with it. Like I've seen it. I know it's very popular, but it's like, how is it used? I'm not sure. So we'll just continue to work on the stream little by little, I think. But for now, I think that's it for East 6 outside of those two items that we missed. And we're going to be moving on to the final one that's available on PC. We'll have to see when East 9 comes out. In the meantime, I'm going to go through and probably add more games to the wish list to kind of monitor the sales. So next time, there's probably like a summer sale. Definitely everything the chat has suggested. Hopefully, we'll just pick it up while it's on sale. We'll try a game, see how we feel about it. And if we like it, we'll probably play more of the series. And definitely as we get closer into June, there's going to be a lot of games releasing anyway, from Saga Frontier to Legend of Mana, which I'm pretty excited for because I like the PS1 version of it. I'm hopeful they add true 3-player co-op to make it a real Mana game, but they'll probably just leave it as 2-player. But it is what it is. Rift managed to beat East 9 before it comes out on Steam? Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, the release date on Steam says 2021, and I'm like, it's 2021. Where's the game? So hopefully it comes out. We'll see. But, oh, yeah, that reminds me. And Phoenix Wright. Well, so Cold Trails, Phoenix Wright. And I think there was another one, but I forget the exact title. But I can always look back at the stream. So I'll make sure to add those games to the list. I think in general, from the previous stream, in terms of things that was discussed, is like complete non sequiturs to things like that. I think Part-Time UFO came up. I think Chris also mentioned Sonic Forces, but I don't know if that was sarcastic or not. I feel like he would make me play it, but I don't know if that's for benevolent reasons or not. It sounded like he wasn't a huge fan of the game in terms of quality. Oh, okay. It just, you have to confirm those things, because I was gonna say I'm not super aware. I would be more leaning towards Part-Time UFO as a serious thing, just to try it for like a short, like, I don't know, like maybe we'll do it for 2 weeks kind of thing. Other than that, the only other game I could think of that's like completely not related to things that we've played on the stream before, I was thinking about if I wanted to pick up Blue Puro chat. I was thinking about that game. I think I talked to Kirk about that between streams. If you wanted to suffer and make you play Sonic 06, well, you can't make me fall for that because I know what that game is. I don't think I can handle the load times of that game. I think that would drive me crazy, let alone everything else that is wrong with the game. But the load times, those would break me, chat. See, normally I like to show off bugs and exploits towards the end of a playthrough, but I feel like I don't think I can complete a stage in Sonic 06 without showing off a bug or an exploit. It won't be intentional. Sonic Boom, mixed feelings. I don't know too much about. I've seen a little bit of gameplay, but kind of mixed. Yeah, Part-Time UFO is just kind of one of those things that's definitely like, I don't see it being more than 2 weeks. But you know, I don't mind those things. So definitely, if we want to open that up as an option, we could take a break from a series just to go into it. I don't know if we'll do like a true break necessarily. Like that's the other thing I want to ask, because we were talking about before for channel points and or the Ziggledies to kind of sponsor kind of like a free night. I'm just thinking of like what day that should be. So I want chat to think about that a little bit. We'll talk about it more, I think, in the next session. And also probably this session next week. Just because I feel like there's sometimes where we have both like really long ongoing series, and it would make sense if we just dedicate a day, even if it's just like once a month. kind of thing. I think we mentioned this before, potentially for things like Parsec. I would want to open it up there. So as a reminder, Kirk, we are going into mostly clearable territory in Berseria, so I will extend the invitation for you to play for the item gathering for the remaining items. You're going to be playing top tier Eisen, so you're pretty safe in the scheme of things. But I'll leave it up to you whether you feel like doing it. You will probably not enjoy fighting the true final boss, so you could skip that. Don't worry about that, Kirk. Like, don't worry about that. You're not gonna have a fun time with the true final boss. We'll skip that. Yeah, I just to get to know the chat a little better, because I mean, like, I know Chris, I know Kirk, but I know there's other streamers that, or not other streamers, there's other viewers that kind of trickle in. Definitely, I had a lot of fun talking with Nero, so if Nero wants to stop by and join in, Nero's definitely invited to join in those things. But yeah, I'd just like to say I think today went pretty well, a lot better than I thought it would go for a whole bunch of different reasons. But I'm happy with how it turned out. So I'd just like to thank you all again for joining. And not tomorrow, Saturday, we'll be playing Berseria, and I'm not going to say we're going to beat it just because we could be showing more content. But the odds of us beating the true final boss are pretty much 100%. It's honestly whenever the chat wants it at this point for this weekend. So thank you again for joining, and hopefully you have a good day or a good night, depending on the time zone.